the thousands, casino boys become champions. Oh, 67, and then he's a worst man. The first game in the thousands, casino boys become champions. Celtic way, wait for the ball from side to side, and Ange try to hide. The way for the ball from front to back. Attack, 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 67. And then he's a first man, the most in a thousand.
Ciao Bovinotto to episode 35 of Celtic Rumours TV with your hosts Marquesco de Celtico and Pablo de Coco. This show is sponsored by Manscaped Grooming. Have your bits still silky smooth like the Italians for tomorrow's final against the English and avoid the hairy bush. With Europe's final back on the way tomorrow, avoid an English bush in your midfield area and clean up your midsection like the Italians with Manscaped, proud sponsor of Celtic Rumours podcast. Be a proper lad tomorrow and shave your bits for the best global leaders in below waist grooming. Manscaped joined over 2 million worldwide who trusted Manscaped with the exclusive offer of 20% off free shipping worldwide with our code Celtic Rumours TV at manscaped.com. They have forever changed the grooming in the game. Performance Drill 3.0 head to toe. This is the ultimate formulations to round up your grooming routine, bring your boys back to life and in the game for the full 90 minutes. You probably heard of the Lawnmower 3.0 Accurate, the best ball trimmer created, the best trimmer on the market for those who needs a shave for their testes. The third generation trimmer, which features the cutting edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to the advanced Skpe technology pioneered by Manscaped. There's even a LED light that you can see everything you're doing down there. Also included the Weed Whacker ears and nose trimmer, which is waterproof and uses a 9000 RT motor powered 3 degrees rotary dual blade system. These nose and hair trimmers provide proactive skin case technology to help prevent nicks, snags and ticks and tugs in those delicate holes. Look fellas, 79th partners polled admitted long hair nose is a way torn off. Why not use the best tools for the job here and don't forget that liquid formulations to round off your grooming in the performance package. There's a crop cleaner body wash to keep your hair and skin feel healthy and fresh. You'll also find Manscaped's crop preserver, ball deodorant, anti-chafing ball deodorant moisture. You'll also find cock reviver, ball toner, a testes toner that's designed to give you an extra boost that needs the job done to look your best on the pitch. Look as well, Clum's all-time greats, David Beckham. Get 20% off free shipping with our code Celtic Rumours TV at manscaped.com. Your balls will thank you for it. Your wife will thank you for it. The Italians will thank you for it. Manscaped, proud sponsor of Celtic Rumours TV, where the big boys hang out. On today's show, we take a look at the latest gossip and rumours around Celtic. We'll talk about the two pre-season friendlies against Sheffield Wednesday and Charlton. What we have launched from Big Ange so far. John Kennedy and Gavin Strachan will be part of Big Ange's backroom team. How do you feel about that? Why is it so slow in the transfer market with Celtic at the moment? And any other business from the live chat from you guys will be discussed. Firstly, Mark, for a few shout-outs.
Thanks, Paul. Just the link to the Manscaped site, that's in the description box below. as is a link to Mikey's charity match. That's getting played next Sunday, and would really try and get as much money in for that as we can. So please give it you can and spread it about your social media accounts. Try and get a wee bit extra money in for Mikey. Apart from that, it's just the usual shout outs to Tim Alloy, Malika, Richie, ROH, and Young Ben. We're now at 442 subs. Brilliant. Me and Paul never thought we'd even be up at these kind of numbers. But if you haven't subscribed, please do that and remember to smash the like button. Forza Italia, Paul.
I suppose, firstly, back before we move on, say a shout out to JFP and his grandson. I think was born.
Forgot
born
about that, Paul.
yeah.
Well said. Shout out to JFP. He's had a wee grandson born. Was it earlier this morning?
Another.
Darek, is that pronounced? Is that how you pronounce that? I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Darek.
yeah.
So all the best to wee Darek and JFP and his family. Congratulations for everybody on here.
Reports have suggested that Celtic are interested in Sheffield United left back George Bollock, but have yet to make a concrete bid for the left back defender. Newcastle United have tabled a £5 million bid offer Celtic target Cameron Carter-Vickers. Reports from the recent days have suggested the Celtic were close to signing a loan deal for the player. This could now be unlikely after Newcastle have tabled a concrete offer on the table for Tottenham. Celtic striker Bayou has left the club for £1.4 million to join Belgian club Gent. Bayou has struggled at Celtics since signing under Brendan Rodgers and has struggled for game time under previous manager Neil Lennon. Sampdoria have joined the race to sign Celtic midfielder Ryan Christie. At Burnley and Crystal Palace are also rumoured to be interested in the Celtic midfielder. Celtic target and defender Carl Starfield has missed start of Ruben Cassan's training this week. Reports have suggested that the player is preparing for a move to the Glasgow Giants by the end of the transfer window. That's it from Celtic rumours and gossip. And of course, these are all rumours. If any deal is concrete, they will be continued to be rumours until an offer is made and Celtic have signed the player. Firstly, Mac, I suppose, look, we knew Barry was going to leave, so that's kind of nothing really surprising that Barry was going to leave the club, was it?
That Starfield guy, he played today, I'm sure, Paul. I'm sure I saw that on Twitter just when I came in for chapel earlier on, something about that.
He played, did he?
He played for Ruben Kazan today. Oh, there's somebody actually saying it. Their bestie saying it in the live chat as well. Aye. So he played. I did miss training the other day. I know what you're saying there, but he played today. I just caught that there half an hour ago on Twitter. But at Bio, I don't think there's any great surprise here that he's away, Paul. He never really got a chance. And I mean, I've said it before. Even when he did have a chance, I wasn't really that impressed with him. Was it not Colaturi that brought it? Was it not
Yeah, he brought him in, yeah.
He was
He recommended him.
an odd one. Really altogether, it was a bit an odd one.
Another one is Sampdoria have joined the race to sign Christie. And Mark, at this stage, I'll take any bid for Christie, what I saw of him again today.
Well, I never saw today's game, Paul, so
Yeah,
I'm on you for that.
Yeah, what I like, he took what I speak about in a minute when we talk about the match, but he made one pass today and like we saw Big Ange put his head into his hands after Christie tried to do a simple pass and tipped Christie put too much power in it and just blew it over the line. You know?
I'm fed up with Christie. It just puts me in a bad mood, Paul, whenever we talk about him.
Yeah, but like the soon the better now, right, Mark? We get him.
Get him. Yeah, as soon as possible. And I wouldn't even give him any other part of pre-season. I wouldn't give him any game time at all. I'd tell him you don't want to be here. It's up to your agent to find you a deal that suits us. And
I'd be very worried now, Mark, if he started the Michelin game. You know, Christie.
I don't think he will. We can't get into that Michelin game with guys that down tools to that extent and still don't want to be here. You know what I mean, Paul? Just no, we can't. He'll not play in the Michelin game.
You could still see kind of carrying in from him back from last season. Any other player looked up for it. They looked fit. They wanted to be there. But he was the same player for me. Like he wasn't interacting with the players or he just didn't want to be there, Mark. Do you know what I mean? You know.
I mean, it seems to have this. I mean, I've never met the guy in real life, but he seems to have this ego that it just it doesn't warrant having that kind of
Mhm.
ego.
Mhm.
See if I mean, see like if it was, I mean, see if that was Callum McGregor, you can understand that because Callum McGregor's a much better player than Christy will ever be,
Mhm.
and it's just the difference in their actual attitudes and the way they carry themselves on the parks night and day.
Mhm. Uh, Moving on to the match, of course, I was watching it. Mark had a day off today, so I was looking after the match. Dembele impressed me today, Mark, when he played the first half. He looked bulked up. That he put on a bit of strength. He was fast again. He took his goal well, Mark. He didn't. Ball was crossed in. It kind of bounced around. He got hold of it, but he didn't smack it straight away, Mark. No, he controlled it, made a bit of space for himself, and took the goal. Yeah, so he impressed me. Callum McGregor, captain for the first half, was kind of controlling the players, telling where he wants to do. But he was kind of more vocal that what we were kind of worried that what Callum might bring as a captain, Mark. So he was doing that, but. Radisson impressed me, Mark, as well today. I know it's only pre-season, but he got up and down the line. But the two players who stood out for me today, Mark, was a Yeti in the first half, and Barca stood out for me as well in the first half. This is just the first half. The second half, there was a totally different team. A Yeti just looks like a different player, Mark. Totally different player to what we've seen.
I've
He's
noticed
more slimmer, chasing down the keeper, Mark. He was chasing down the ball, took his goal well again. He was up for it. Really impressed with him, Mark. I think he could be a good addition, Mark, to Celtic next season.
well if he's fit and playing like that. I said to you the other day, the game the other against Sheffield Wednesday, that I was
Hmm.
impressed with Ayeti during that as well. He looked a totally different player, Paul, from what we've seen from him last year.
Hmm.
He's one of the players that is bought into Ange's kind of philosophy and way of thinking. He's kind of maybe he's the type of right. We heard the stories about his attitude and things like that. Maybe he's the type of guy he's more like you to put an arm around him, kind of.
And that's the kind of manager that Ange is, Mark, isn't this?
I mean,
You know.
for me, Neil Lennon only had one type of management. A good manager like Alex Ferguson and people like that, Jock Stein, they knew what players needed balled out and what players kind of needed an arm around them and a different kind of
Mhm.
which encouragement and things like that. So maybe he's just bought right into Angie's.
Maybe Ange said thought too, like giving him the captaincy in the first match, Mark, as well was like a reward for him putting in the effort as well, like.
It was meant to be that really is really impressed Ange in the training sessions and that's
Mhm.
why you got the captain's armband. And
Mhm.
I said to you at the time, and then but I didn't think there was no way he was going to be Celtic captain going forward in the season. But it still gives a wee reward for doing well in pre-season.
Mhm. Uh, Barkas actually impressed me today, Mark. Coming out of his box, controlling the ball with his feet, like a Neuer type keeper. Really impressed with Barkas today, Mark. Where he controlled the ball and his distribution of the ball, his passing the ball. He looked comfortable. But he was always kind of comfortable, Mark. Then as well with his feet, though he was that type of keeper. He was always, but
Tested
he
anybody really.
not really,
See,
not really. See, that's the problem. He was.
but the thing about what you're saying, the way he's played, is it obviously shows you that he's playing with a bit more confidence. If
But I was listening then to people on Twitter like saying like what's Barker's doing coming up so high, but maybe that's what Ange wants him to do, Mark, because Ange plays a high line and Barker's will be like a sweeper keeper kind of a thing. Like, maybe Ange will play that way, and maybe Barker's was told come out of his box and control the area that. But Mark, he never left his line last season.
well,
Do you know?
well, I'd like to think, and if he's doing that, it would be on Angie's say so, or he wouldn't be doing it. Do you know what I mean? Because that's kind of a big decision for any manager to take to tell his keeper to leave his line as much as
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So
Uh,
Ange wants him to do, and if he's looking comfortable at doing it now, we've said it before, Paul. I think they're a good keeper in Barkas. Again, maybe with Big Ange coming in, something that Barkas is
But
a wee bit more comfortable and a wee bit more self-confidence and things like that. As I said, I think that was his main problem, is self-confidence. He just never looked comfortable being Celtic goalkeeper.
bar one good save in the 87th minute that Bain made, Mark, he still worries me. Bain, he did look as comfortable on the ball than what Barker's did.
Bain's get worse, Paul, for me.
He's gone back. He's gone backwards, Mark. He really has. I'd be confident and maybe no other choice in having Barkas as number one, Mark, but I won't be confident having them two keepers going into next season, Mark, again. I don't think it's a position that we could risk the two of them being our keepers again.
Well, the way you've described Barkas playing today, there's no way Bain could play like that.
Mm-hmm.
So
No.
if that's what Ange is looking for in his goalkeepers, Bain's not going to be at Celtic much longer, I wouldn't think, Paul.
Spain was trying to play passing the ball out as well, but then sometimes Mark Bain would go long and the ball would just go out, but Ange doesn't want to play that way. He wants to keep. You could see in the first half more so than the second half, because the second half there was the game was more or less one, Mark, and he was just rolling subs on, subs off. But in the first half you could see the kind of game that Ange wants to play, the fast attacking game, press from the top and the play out from the back. I can't see Bain being that type of keeper that's able to pass out from the back, Mark.
No, no chance. That's never going to happen. He's too old and long in the tooth to learn that now. Just hope young Hazard's working on that side of the game going forward.
Exactly. And new signings. Very impressed again with Liam Shaw. I thought
done really well the other day as well.
Tackling, Mark, getting in tackles. He was getting balls into the box. He could be a good sign for Celtic, Mark, considering what we only paid for him. Was it £600, £500,000, something like that, Mark? Was that conversation?
Was it about 250, 300? Just that cross-border ruling thing they use. But that's
really impressive today, Mark. Yeah,
that's what we need to exploit in the transfer market. I mean, there's no way Liam Shaw looks like a 200, 300,000 player. Do you know what I mean? No. If he was under contract, I don't know what you'd be talking about, 4 or 5 million at least. Coming for doing it, talk English prices, you know what I'm talking about, that kind of way. But he'll be in the first team squad next year without a doubt. Just on the last games I've seen from him, he'll be sniffing about the first team with no problem next year.
Really impressed me. Our new signing, Ozaza, I know you're going to say second. He played on the right back, Mark, in the second half. He seems comfortable receiving the ball. He tackled well. He's not afraid to get down the ring. He looks solid, Mark. I know it's only pre-season, but you get a sense to a player, Mark, in pre-season that you haven't kind of seen before. You get a sense the way he looks as strong. And I would be comfortable with him maybe at right back more so than Ratson for the Midtjylland game.
You're saying Ralston played well today, but I wouldn't be too confident getting into the Midtjylland game with him at right.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. I would fancy this fella, Mark. He looks solid. He wasn't afraid to pull in a tackle, Mark, either. Like people would come down, he was sliding in, he
said that when he came in, didn't he? That he likes a tackle.
Who else? The young lad, the wee ginger lad, Offalit, is it? Offalit came in, is it? The foxy lad?
Who?
The young, what's his name? Yeah.
Offalit. Can you even pronounce that, man?
He came on, like, I'm really impressed with this lad, like this little ginger fella, like, I haven't seen a player, Mark, this fast in a long time for Celtic. Like, this fella has speed, like, doesn't he?
Who are you talking about, Paul?
The wee ginger lad, what's his name? Morphus, yes.
Aye. Right.
He looks good, but don't he?
He played well the other day as well when he was on, but
he only got about 60 minutes now today. He only kind of came, but what I saw, because I didn't see him on Wednesday, But what I saw him today, like, he looks a cracking young player, doesn't he?
He really does. Even after the game, the midweek game there was people on Twitter and that comparing him to Jimmy Johnson and that, but I think that's a bit premature. But I'll say one thing, Paul. Well, I says I'm going with what you were talking about the day's game, but the game the other day, it does show you that a lot of our young players that we maybe hadn't really heard about much. They're up to the standards that we've been talking about, Paul. That should be pushing.
So that's the problem, Mark.
Aye,
There's never been a problem with producing the players. It's just the manager that we had in place. Either was it Brendan Rodgers or Neil Lennon. They just didn't give him a chance. It was more so Neil Lennon that kind of blocked him out. That I think the young players
Well,
saw, Mark, that Neil Lennon was the manager. They weren't going to get it. That first thing when Neil Lennon was there. And
for me, Rodgers is more a kind of checkbook manager. Rodgers is
mhm.
always going to look at the transfer market rather than look at youth teams. He's just
And he's the same with Leicester. He's the same with Leicester
uh,
as well, Mark.
yeah,
You
he's
know,
doing the exact same thing. But just
uh,
we've thought there's no, all these young players were leaving for your Bayern Munichs and things like that, and we thought we were going to be gutted in the youth department. But we have seen with the young like Montgomery, Moffat, another couple of youngsters who've
I
been.
think Montgomery had another solid game again today, Mark. He played kind of in the first half. It was kind of a left ring back role.
It does show you that it's maybe not as dark as we thought it was when it came
No,
to the youngsters kind of idea.
that's just the problem, Mark. Is what we're saying all along, Mark. Is that they're getting to the fringes of the first team, but it's that next step that we saw. The reason maybe was Neil Lennon that they weren't getting into the first team, like
But
you know.
we've got to remember as well, but we're sitting talking about what young players could make get into the first team squad. We've still got this Colts team hanging over us as well.
Hmm.
We've got to put that together. And I think it
Hmm.
might be a lot of them will end up getting out into that Colts team. The like say young Moffat, I think he'll end up in the Colts team. Even Montgomery, I think he'll end up in the Colts team as well.
Hmm. I think, like, going by what I saw, Mark, that uh, the youth system is in safe hands. There's no problem with the youth system because we are producing the players. You know, that's not an issue. But any young player that which I saw from today, Mark, did themselves no harm to be in and around the squad, first team squad next season. I'm not saying that they're going to be playing every week. Maybe they could be playing the calls teams, but they could be called up to training sessions within the first team to get that long experience. But Mark, they did themselves no harm. And the two games, Mark, compared to what squad we have, the young players did very, very well, like for Celtic, like, they did, like, you know.
But that's what should be happening, Paul.
Hmm.
That's what should have been happening for years. These young players trying to impress the manager, just trying to catch his eye. That's what it really takes. It can just sometimes be down to a wee bit of luck. Look at Stephen Welsh. No, see, it was luck on his part that Big Julian got injured. Wasn't very lucky for Julian, but we've
Hmm.
said it before, Paul. There's no way Welsh would have been in that first team
No,
if Julian hadn't been injured.
no.
Welsh done himself. No, I mean, I thought I would have given Player of the Year. I said that all along
Hmm.
for the reason I wouldn't blame any of the blame at a young boy like that that's just came into the team for the mess that we made of everything last year. So I would have
Hmm.
had Welsh's Player of the Year, but he would never have got in near the team. And these young guys will know now that and they've got a chance, and whether they have to go to the Colts, as you say, they'll maybe be invited up, training with the first team and things like that. But if they have to go to the Colts, they'll still know that they're in the manager's plans. And this is
Hmm.
part of his plan for them. You get into these Colts for a year and come back with a year's experience down there, getting kicked up and down as we spoke about, that's what's going to happen with you.
Hmm.
And come back next year and you'll be a lot stronger, a lot more ready for the first team. And
Hmm.
that's planning, Paul. Do you know what I mean? That's what we should have been doing for years with these young players.
Exactly, exactly. So, going by what I saw today, Mark, I could see glimpses of the way Ange wants to play, fast football. No one is spending too much time on the ball, Mark. You know what I mean? It's fast passing.
Uh,
They're quick in the ball. There's more speed in the team. There seems to be more energy, Mark, than what we had last season. Like fitter players. A prime example of that, Mark, is a Yeti. Different player altogether for me. I was happy when I saw it. Look, I know it's only pre-season, Mark, but you know the togetherness of the team when when they came off at half time. Ange was out at half time because they were switching teams. He was out giving fist bumps to every single player that came off, fist bumps again to every single player that came off. The team synced together, and bar Christie, Mark, today I had no complaints about the way they played. He was my only thing that pissed me off today was Christie.
The rest of them looked like a team, Paul.
Yeah, that's it, Mark. Yeah, they looked like.
Last year, it was just, it seemed too many like individuals on the park and too many
Yeah, but you could see that. I watched young Dembele's interview after it, and they were talking to him, and he said that most important thing to him was that he was playing. He said that he was promised last year he'd be playing, but he wasn't playing, and last year was so frustrating for him as a young player that he wasn't playing. And for the manager to tell him he was starting was a big boost, he said, from the start. He said the manager told him what he wanted him to do and where he wanted to do it. So every player today, Mark, knew, bar your sub coming on, Mark, they knew what every player knew what they was supposed to do on the pitch. Do you know what I mean?
They're exact.
Yeah,
What they were,
they knew their job straight away, and that's maybe Mark when he was saying like even if we get 1% going out to the pitch, that's a 1% boost for the team against the opponents, and that 1% boost, Mark, compared to last season is that every player knew what position they did and what their role was within the team, and you could see that clearly today, Mark, where we at the start. Radisson was kind of running up the line. Dembele stayed back in the second half. Maybe it was Ozaza moving up. Henderson fitted into that back line then, Mark. Do you know what I mean?
I thought Henderson played
And the same again today, Mark. He was pushing up from the top, trying to push down the keeper with the ball. Like one instance, he pushed the keeper up to the thing, and the keeper had to end up putting the ball out over the sideline because Henderson was pushing up on the ball. You could see a difference in the team, Mark, that there's a different energy and buzz around the squad compared to last season.
I mean, you've said it yourself, Paul. We know it's still pre-season. There's no, but it's. I mean, the signs are there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as I say, I'm only going with you today. But would you say that the way Celtic played today was better than you saw?
Oh, without doubt.
I
Jesus,
felt like that.
without
I
doubt.
felt that the other day as
You,
well, Paul. It was
you,
like night and day, just even.
the crisps of the passing, Mark, like it was fine detail, like 1-2 touches, bang, the ball is gone. Do you know what I mean? There's no holding on to the ball like Christie, like last season, one touch, tried to take a shot. There was none of that.
And
There was none of that.
there's
You
no way
know.
Scott Brown would have been able to play under Ange. For what I saw
I don't think,
today.
Mark. I don't think he would be able to fit into the way the way Andrew played. I wouldn't think so. And we even had our doubts at the start, like with the Yesi fitting into that closing down mark and the thing, but man, does he look like a different player. And I mean it, Mark. Like I'm so impressed with the Yesi. Like
He looks a different player, even as a player.
do you know what, Mark? Though,
He's
like
a different person. The amount of weight he's kind of.
yeah,
He looks so like.
he's a finisher, Mark. Do you know what I mean? He is a born finisher. And it just shows, Mark, that we had a manager, one who training methods were out of date, and that our first team squad totally weren't fit last season, Mark. Maybe the players came overweight because of the fitness levels on the knee level, Mark, and that's why they came overweight. They're only going by the training, Mark, what the manager gives them.
That's it. I've said that before.
Yeah.
Players have got to take some responsibility for it themselves. But it's still all these rules that come from the sports science department or from the physio department. They all need to be enforced with the management team.
Hmm.
It's not up to the sports science guy to make sure. He's making his bleep tests or whatever it is they call them these days. Do you get that? It's not. They tell the manager, and then it's the manager that's up to him to enforce that the players are doing what they're told to be the peak condition.
Hmm. Hmm. The only thing, Mark, that kind of really kind of concerns me is that it's a very young team, all right? The Scottish League, Mark, is it's a tough league, Mark. It's with strength, and you'll get the old elbow marker. We seen Julian with the fella, uh, what's the fella that Livingston, Mark, that constantly
No Shankland.
Dykes.
Dykes, Lyndon Dykes.
Yeah,
That
like
Julian doesn't like the physical side of Scotland.
that's what I'm saying. So I think, Mark, we lack a bit of a physique in the team, a bit of that, like that. Well, we could do it one or two players, Mark, with a bit of strength. You know,
Especially at the back, as you say.
yeah, because our backline, Mark, the average age of our backline today, Mark, what that played was between 18 and 21, and I would fear, Mark, that
But
such a young backline playing in the Scottish League, Mark, that they'd be too weak at the moment, Mark. Do you know what I mean? Like
no,
we all want
they'll
to,
bring
we all,
people in.
yeah, we all want our youths to play, Mark, but you'd still need experience with the youths as well, Mark, to help them along.
Oh, you
You
don't.
know?
I've said it a million times. You don't just throw them in at the deep end.
Mm-hmm.
Said as well. I think that's maybe what's one of the things with Dembele last season. It's easy enough to put
Do you see him?
no, but
See,
it's easy enough to put a young player into a winning team.
mm-hmm.
Well, it's harder to get them into a team that's struggling, and
Mm-hmm.
without them, you're trying to protect them for the flack as well. I don't
He,
know if that's how Neil Lennon.
he's after his grinds today, Mark. Dembele's grinds. You know, look, his grinds, Dembele's and his calves, they were huge. You know, really bulked himself up by young Dembele did. You know, so I hope, Mark, we get to see him a lot this year, considering he'd suit the way Ange would play, Mark. And I saw today, like he looked like a player, Mark, who was enjoying his football, and he said that in his interview. I was enjoying my football in the past 2 days more than I did in the last 2 years at Celtic, he said.
Did they say I'd never seen his interview? I'm
Do
not
you know, Mark,
sure about that.
that's saying a lot about a young player, Mark. Do you know what
Hopefully, Big Ange has turned his head then, and
I mean?
because he's out of contract next summer, Paul.
Hmm.
So I mean, it'll either be we get him a new contract this year, or sell him this year, or we wait till next year and he leaves for free, and
Yeah.
we'll only get like that probably £200,000 cross border thing if he goes to England.
Hmm.
Goes abroad, we would get nothing from him.
I was
We get
expecting,
some money, but no much.
yeah, but he does look like. I was happy, Marco. In fairness, now, like, well, because I missed Wednesday's game and I was only going by what you tell, and of course I watched a few highlights, but going by the two matches, Mark, you can see the way Ange wants to set up and the way he wants us to play, and we do look a faster team, Mark, than we did last season, 100%, don't we?
Oh, definitely, Paul. 1,000,000%. But it just shows you the difference that a good coach can make, Paul, in a short space of time.
Exactly, because we were worried about that. We were worried about that, Mark. You
Uh,
know, we
no,
that whole.
I'm not making excuses for how long it took, as if I see what he's done after only a couple of weeks. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying it shows you the difference that having a good coach makes. I mean,
Don't get me wrong, Mark. It's
yeah,
not the finish. It's not the finishing article yet.
we're
Like
only been
we're gradually seeing it. Like, you know what I
but he's
mean?
only been there 2 weeks. We've seen
Hmm.
two pre-season games, and we can tell the new. We can see how it's changed in the space of a couple of weeks already.
Yeah, amazing, Mark.
So it really does. It shows you the difference it makes if you've got a good coach in there that knows what he's doing and the players are buying into it. And that just
Hmm.
never happened. Never happened under Lennon.
Going by what we've seen, Mark, that he's only in the door 10 days, as you know, Mark, and I've seen it on Twitter. We've seen it on the forum. He's already has his critics. You know, there's people already there already on his back saying, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? Why is Kennedy? We'll move on to. We're not talking about Kennedy till later on, no, Mark, right?
Right?
So why they still there? You know, like he told you that he said in his interview, Mark, I'll assess the club. I'll make changes when needed and if needed. Do you know? And I know there's always going to be critics, Mark, and there's always going to think, but like your man's only in the door.
I know.
Do you know what I mean? Less than, I think it's 11 days. 11 days, Mark, only 11 to 10 days, I think he's only in the door. And if they can't see a difference in the team, Mark, than last season, they need to question, like, is it just a total attitude that they have towards the club, and no matter what positives that the club make, they're still going to be negative.
Some people just always look for the negative in things. That's just their nature.
Hmm.
It really is. There's people, no matter what happens, all they've got is a negative spin on it. How I've said it before, football fans want everything yesterday. They want it done yesterday or even the day before that. But you've got to give them time to get these things up and running and change things. You can't just flick a switch and change things overnight.
Hmm.
It's going to take time. And see if the stuff, see honestly, the stuff that's going behind the scenes and doing that. I would rather the people just give it a bye for a wee while and concentrate on the actual what's happening on the park.
Exactly, Mark. This is the first time in a long time that we've saw Celtic on the telly, and to come away happy of what you saw. That has been a long time coming for me anyway, Mark, because considering what we saw last season, you know.
There was people moaning the other day because the amount of youth players in the team. That shows
And
the board's not willing to spend money. Look at the amount of young players that are out in that team.
the same
Only
the
been back
same players, Mark, mourning why our young players are leaving.
We've only been back in pre-season. We've only been back in pre-season training a week or something like that. Every
Mhm.
club in the world's scraping the squads together. Their players are away in Euros and things like that. So, but
Mhm.
the same people moan about young players not getting a chance, and then when they do, they blame the board for no spending money. It's just,
Mhm.
I say, it's just fans. It's just they can be so fickle at times. But I wish we could just take a step back for see all the coaching side and all the who's working in the sports science thing and just concentrate on the actual team that's playing on the park just for a couple of weeks.
Mhm. What has impressed you so far, Mark? That the of Ange? I know it's early days, like, but what have you got from him of what you saw from him since he's been here?
Well, I definitely think he's going to be his own man.
Hmm.
I think he's got. I think already he'll know in himself what players are going to be here and what players aren't going to be. But now, kind of thing, Paul. It's just I think he was the type. Oh, there I'm starting to stammer now. Because like when he said in his interview, he would assess things, look at the coaching and that. And we said at the time, if he looks at Kennedy and that and decides to take them, well, who are we to argue?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
for me, for Kennedy and Strang to be staying, I'm taking Ange at his word. Either that or he's come in and tell Celtic fans a lie for day one, and I don't think he's that type of person.
Hmm.
I do think
And
Kennedy and Strachan will be there. Oh, well, I'll not talk about that, but I'm talking about Ange, right? I do think knowing now he's going to be his own man. You could see the players. He's a likeable guy. See for the mic'd up training session, he
hmm.
was telling them we don't stop. We stop at half time and we start at full time once we've won it before. You could tell that it was. I thought it was just. It was. It was what I mean. The players are telling all about, and he's still in their ear, drilling that into them. Not just standing there with his arms folded and that kind of thing. And
Hmm.
he is
I
a training ground manager. He'll put the
Yeah, he
training.
seems to
Aye.
be involved in the training, Mark. That he wants to be there, like he wants to be on the training ground, still kind of putting like the thing that pressed me, Mark, is that I was expecting kind of some changes today, I think, but like, but I wasn't expecting how we played change so fast compared to last season. Do you know what I mean? You know how it was a different passing game that like I know we kind of played a bit of pass game on then, but it was always side to side. This was forward passing.
But I mean, it's no rocket science, Paul.
Hmm.
Really, all Ange had to really like say to them is, look, two touch, two touch football, control it and then pass it.
Hmm.
I saw it, and
But he seems to be a positive guy as well, Mark.
he
Bringing
seems
that, yeah.
to just drill that into the players. Whereas under Lennon, I mean, we spoke about it. Scott Brown would stroll about the park with nobody near him and then pass it sideways.
Yeah, there was none of that, Mark.
He
Yeah,
put that into the mindset, control the ball and pass it, or if you don't even just keep it moving, keep the ball moving as quickly as possible, and if the opposition running ragged,
I think if Christie would have made that pass that he made, now Mark, this pass no
I'll try and look it
was
up. I'll see.
was typical Christie. All right, tried to play a simple pass, Mark, and just blowing it over the line. All right, and the camera immediately went to Ange.
At least it didn't go over the bar.
Yeah, Jesus Christ! I say he was probably aiming for a band the next pitch, right? He was probably But Ange put his head into his hands, and you could see him just shaking his head and his hand. I say if Christie or any player did that in a match, that they would get a balking either after the match or half time, that he wouldn't forget that pass that day. I think he's that type of manager, Mark, that he'd rectify your mistake and he'd tell you your mistake.
I think he's at. I think we're getting back to the kind of things like
Martin O'Neill.
the level. No, but the levels even under Brendan Rodgers.
Mm-hmm.
They'll get into every intricate detail of the game and what you could have done better. And do you get what I mean? That was the way.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way top coaches work, Paul. Players
Mm-hmm.
saying, "Don't I take it." There will be the same thing even during pre-season friendlies, but even players will get sent like the data covering, telling them what they done right and wrong in the game, so that they can go. See, even sitting in their houses, they sit in the toilets in the house.
Yeah, no, he did.
Said Barry mentioned it on the thing, even when he was playing, they were told exactly what they were doing on the pitch, who they were marking. This is what you do when the ball's here, you need to move here. And that's what good managers and coaches do. And
And he's even, Mark, being
Neil
a
Lennon said it's a
positivity
free
in the
for all.
club, Mark, isn't he? He's even being like his positivity, Mark, is rubbing off the club already. Do you know what I mean? And I can't see how there's critics there when
We
you can see well, not Christie anyway, it's not rubbing off him anyway, but uh, Edward still looked a bit kind of Marky to me, kind of didn't want to be there as well,
I don't think Edward will be here. I've said
you know.
all along. And again, I wouldn't even see if he's going to sign a contract. It would be a 4 or 5 year contract I'd be putting in front of him.
Hmm.
Basically, if he's only going to sign a year's contract, we're back where we are the new next year. And the only reason he's signing a year's contract the new is maybe because none of the bigger teams that he hoped were coming in from are coming in for him.
Exactly, but that's no fault of his own then, Mark, the way he
Well, that's,
turned up last
that's,
season. Do
that's
you know what I mean?
his fault. And as I said before, Celtic will tell these players' agents how much money they want for the player, and then it's up to the agent to find a deal that suits. It's up to Edward and his agent and Christie. I don't know if he's Daz's agent or if he's got an agent, but if the players don't want to be here, it's up to their agents to get them out the door. People say it's up to Celtic. It's no, because Celtic have told these players and their agents, this is what we want. Now you come back to us with the offers of money.
Hmm.
It's changed days for you. Do you know what I mean? Celtic aren't phoning up clubs and saying, do you want to buy Ryan Christie?
No,
You know what I
exactly.
mean? Football's not like that anymore. It's agents that do all that kind of work. So if they're not getting the move that's there,
I could see clearly, Mark, that he didn't want to be there today, Christie. You know,
I
I
wouldn't
could.
even have took it. I know you've got to kind of, you can't just take him on the
Hmm.
thing. That's kind of probably a breach of contract. But I wouldn't even have gave him game time in a pre-season friendly.
No.
Edward, see if they don't want to be here. Just right, we'll do what we need to do to keep his fit and training. But I'm planning for next season, and you're only going to be here, sir. He's taking your place today.
Hmm. Like, so now, like, we take like the critics now, Mark should wait. Like the season hadn't even started yet. Like, you know what I mean? He hasn't played his first competitive game yet. That's against Midtjylland in Tuesday week on the 20th. We'll watch that closely. But with this Rangers match being so early in the Glasgow derby, right? And if he doesn't get a positive result there, is it still too high to criticise him, Mark, or should we be at least like trying to win that game, like that we need to win that game, considering last season, Mark, that so early in the league that we need to set down a marker?
Oh well, we need to win every game.
Hmm.
No, I mean you've got to get into that kind of mindset. But yeah, but obviously if we get beat with Rangers, there's going to be the usual kind of barrage of Ange out or Lennon out
I
Mackay.
think that's going to be his attitude, Mark. Anyways, that he's going to be wanting like we're not going to see last season having the likes of St Mirren and Ross County come to Celtic Park and next beating us 2-3-0.
I'll take a
And
really see for what I've seen the other day and what you've been saying today.
mhm,
I'll take a really good football side to beat us next year
mhm,
with
mhm,
with the way we're playing. So if we can get the right personnel in, but
mhm.
I wouldn't start judging Ange like if he lost the first derby game, I wouldn't take it that far. Other
Mhm.
managers have come in and lost their first derby game. Just it's only at the end of the day, it's only one game, Paul, at the start of the season.
Mhm.
But he'll know exactly how Rangers. I mean, we spoke about it how Rangers set up. They play the same every game, and they're
Mhm.
well organised. They do their job well. Ange will know that. It's up to him to come up with a plan to counteract that. And I think he will. Maybe no, maybe not in the first game, maybe no. But see, after he's played against Rangers and sees what he's up against, I think he'll be able to suss it up.
Yeah, but you know what? The best thing is, Mark, that like he's going to be able to he's going to be able to sign players that can play in his system. So I mean, so we're not going to be selling players, Mark, just for the sake of it, and they're not going to be able to play in his system. Do you know what I mean?
Uh,
So
that in a way, it's a good thing. That
it is that. So like it's going to be like it's going to be quickly for new players to gel as well, Mark, because they already probably know his previous links to him, or they know of Ange or things like. But
just even knowing that a player can do the job that Ange wants, kind of thing.
exactly.
Because a player, he'll just say to the player, look, this is the job I want you to do in the park for us. See, like when it comes to trying to get me signing things like that, this is the job you'll be doing on the park. I'll be
Hmm.
doing this, you'll be anchoring the midfield, you'll be doing whatever, and that's just it. it
It's like that thing we were hearing, Mark. This Celtic looking in January at James McCarthy, and Ange was supposedly Ange told them no, he wants Moy, and look, we're still waiting to see if there's any developments there. But I think that's the thing. Like I think that he'll tell Celtic, Mark, their transfer list that they have there. He was saying like this player mightn't fit into my thing here. I watched clips of him. I saw reports. He's not the type of player I'm looking for. Could we maybe go with this player? You know, so I think it's going to be a whole different approach to where Celtic actually scout players.
well, for now, and we're no harping on about it again, the director of football kind of role,
Hmm.
until there is somebody filling that kind of role, it is obviously
Yeah,
Ange is kind of doing the football and
and it's a big ask,
the other
Mark, too,
people
because the way
what's that guy's name again? Jay.
Jay Lafarve,
Uh,
you're asking me.
but he'll be in on it somewhere. But without a director of football, whatever the kind of title you want to give them, Ange will have a lot of input in the transfers, don't he?
Hmm. There was a lot of confusion there, Mark, about this new role. You just might explain it to the lads. Like the lads were saying, some lads were saying, why is it taking so long to set up this new sporting operations role within the club? But Mark, this is a role that was never at the club in the first place.
No, that was it. I, we never employed anybody to do that job. But I think maybe some of them are meaning, why did we not take this route 4 or 5 years ago?
Hmm.
Do you know, I don't know
Hmm.
if that was maybe a bit of a crossed wire, but if it was a new position at the club, and as I said at the time, Don Mackay was only in the door a week, and he's already.
Addressed it that this isn't there.
Well, it
You
seems
know what I mean?
whoever it is, whether it's Mackay or Ange or whatever, has identified this as well, Mackay mentioned like the Brentford model and that in his interview, didn't he? So
Yeah,
Mackay or whoever's identified that Celtic don't have somebody doing that job, so they've went out to do it. So that's got to be a positive.
exactly. Moving on, and I can see Pedro is going to be upset about this next topic. I've been saying it for as long as I have now on this podcast that John Kennedy and Gavin Strachan will be staying at Celtic. So the question here is, how does Celtic Football Club stop the negativity around John Kennedy and Gavin Strachan? Many Celtic fans wanted Celtic to push John Kennedy and Gavin Strachan out the door, especially after Kennedy's mediocre spell last season as interim manager. Ange has Ange said in the previous things that he make these final decisions himself. He will judge every aspect of the clubs himself before he makes any decision. Clearly, Mark, he's been observing John Kennedy and Gavin Strachan. They were able to adapt to what Ange wants to do. So clearly, Mark, like as you said at the start of the show there, Mark, there, we're in no position to question his decision. Ange has seen something, Mark, that we're not seeing. Do you know what I mean?
But is he actually, have they actually said what their position's going to be?
No. See, that's the thing. They're staying on.
See,
We
that's
don't know.
right. Gavin Strachan, I don't know that much about it. But Gavin Strachan was meant to be good at his job, this data analysis. I don't know whether he could even transfer over to his new job, Paul. I mean,
Exactly.
you're only
That's what it
analysing
is, Mark.
data,
It
but
analyze, you're analysing data within. Yes, yes.
aye.
You know.
I don't know if that could even transfer, but if Strang is good at what he does, then Angel have seen that, so he'll be kept on to do that job. Kennedy's maybe not been kept on to be his assistant.
I don't see, Mark. The thing I got from there was a things that came out, and he said it, and he said himself. He said just because coaches are coming in doesn't mean coaches will leave. I bring in coaches to make the coaching staff better and make them have more coaches around me that will be able to adapt to my football.
I mean, it's like a broken record saying it, Paul, but I mean, Kennedy just let himself down when he had the chance to as the manager. He really did.
So it's going back to Mark. Maybe he like we said it before, Mark, that maybe Kennedy isn't a good manager. Do you know what I mean? Maybe he's
Either.
a good coach. Do you know what I mean?
But I mean, there's
You know.
plenty of people been like that over the years. Liam Brady's your one
Hmm.
springs immediately to mind with me, but I mean, we've all seen, I mean, for years we've known that Kennedy's meant to be a good coach. Everybody that works with him says he's a good coach. All the managers that have worked with him says he's a good coach.
Sure,
I just don't know why
sure, Mark Liam Brady was one of the best youth spotters in the world at his time. Sure, wasn't he?
he ran that Arsenal academy for donkey's years, didn't he?
Yeah, and look at him now. When he's gone, the youth system is just nearly next to none, Mark. And they certainly don't have money to buy players. Arsenal always depended on their young players coming through, Mark, didn't they? Arsenal always had good young players coming through. They did, but that's that's why Kennedy's staying on, Mark. That Ange actually saw that Kennedy's a good, and Mark, considering his lack of knowledge. I'm not going to say lack of knowledge, that he's never managed in Europe, and Scottish football is different to the way we say they might play in Australia or the J League. It might be much faster. Maybe it's good to have Kennedy around the dressing room, Mark, to tell him about teams and what way they go.
Well, we spoke about that before, Paul. It is good for a lot of managers. They have a coach that knows the domestic setup, and don't been able to knows it much better than John Kennedy for the last 9 years he's been in the club.
Exactly.
So,
Being a Celtic man all his life, Mark.
I mean, it was like John Collins coming in to help Ronnie Dyler.
Hmm.
So it is good to have somebody on your coaching staff that knows the ins and outs of whatever league you're working in. But I still don't think Kennedy will be his number two. I don't. I honestly
I
don't.
still think he's still going to bring in, Mark. He will bring in his own coaches as well. I still think he'll bring in at least another one or maybe two, but he definitely bring in one, Mark, that he can, because we saw it last season, Mark. There was clearly something between John Kennedy and Lennon. Clearly something there.
Uh,
You know? And if that same thing happens again next season, that there's a follow between Ange and maybe Kennedy and Strachan, like, it's not good. You need someone, Mark, that you can lean off as well within your backroom staff, don't you?
you, well, you'd like to. I've said that as well. You'd like to think the manager would be allowed to pick at least his number two, somebody that he knows, somebody that he trusts, somebody that he's got a kind of relationship with, of some sort. That's why I'm not keen on just feisting like the likes of Kennedy and that onto people. But
Hmm.
I mean, we're saying it. He is a decent coach supposedly. So gives maybe Ange's just seen that in him. He can help me. He's not going to be my number two, but he's up to the standards that I know I can work with him. He's got a lot
Right.
to add.
But the question is, Mark, and it came out on previous news outlets in Australia. Some people have come out and said it's not true. It's a podcast that came out on it, yes,
Oh, that's
saying that he wasn't left bringing his
no,
backroom staff. Do you think maybe that was the decision put on Ange, Mark? Or
no, I
I
don't
know
believe
it's not.
that. Just because it's on a podcast down in Australia, I'll say it now. Ange will
Was it? Was it? It
against the
wasn't.
coaches.
It wasn't all lads, was it?
No, no, it was people.
Like, not coming on. You're not coming on no more.
But that's, I mean, I don't believe that for a minute. Again, that's going back to did Ange lie
That's it. Yeah.
in his very first press conference? I can't see that, Paul.
You know. So like another.
You
No, I'm pouring a glass of water.
well, but
Another coach, Mark, that's actually going to be stepping up into the thing, and he's going to be working alongside Ange and the first team as well. Steve McManus is being promoted to the first team squad. He's going to be working as a first team coach. Or I don't know I don't think he'll be first team coach, Mark, but he'll be around the coaches squad as well, and he'll be working with Ange as well in the first team coach, because Ange is a big believer, Mark. If he can promote within, he'll promote within, and clearly he actually thinks that Steve McManus is a good coach as well, Mark, and
we've got to just trust him now, Paul.
that's it, Mark.
Give it a few weeks and see what actual roles it is that Kennedy and that's going to be doing before throwing the toys at the pram over it.
Strachan still hasn't given the Wi-Fi number because he doesn't know his position. So that's why there's no data coming. Imagine it. But between the two of them, between Kennedy and Strachan, I can see Strachan actually doing the job, Mark, that he was employed to do last season under a manager like Ange. Because I was thinking to myself, people were always complaining that he was on his laptop, right? But he was doing his job, he was doing his data. But I think near the end of the last couple of months, the last couple of weeks when he didn't have his thing, that Lennon maybe told him he wasn't interested in that crap. And that's why that laptop was missing.
See what you were saying earlier about the Lennon and Kennedy thing. See, behind sight, I think you've hot it in the heat there, Paul. I really do. I think there was something that just no right between the two. Whether it was because Lennon wasn't allowed to bring in Parker when they took Gary Parker to try to bring in and
Tommy Johnson, he wanted to bring in for the scouting operations or something, was it?
he was coming in and took another job, wasn't it, Tommy?
Yeah.
I seen him getting linked to a job the other was again just on the internet the other week.
And is he that good, Mark? Tommy Johnson, it's a scouting operation or something he is or something, is he or what?
To be honest, I don't know. It was like was it a head of recruitment or was it even a direct football job that he was kind of...
Because I haven't heard, and I'm being honest, Mark, I haven't heard of much of Tommy Johnson since he left Celtic, and that's because I don't pay attention much, Mark, to...
See, the thing about it, Paul, that might be a good thing. As we said, we spoke about when Martin O'Neill or Gordon Strachan, I mean, if they really get the skill set to be a sporting director or director for Celtic...
No, and if he's actually done that job, Mark, yeah, exactly.
Probably know Tommy Johnson's been grafting away for years, learning all these different things, you know what I mean, and he could do the job. But even what I was saying there about Lennon and Kennedy, I think even maybe it was Strachan was maybe caught a bit in the middle there.
I think so, yeah. I think so, Mark, and I think that's why he came more into a coaching role, maybe to bridge that bridge between the two of them.
There was something went on anyway. I think I'd say hindsight's a wonderful thing. But I mean, everybody just.
But would you think maybe, Mark? That he could have been told that by Lennon, I'm not interested in all that data crap, because Mark, clearly, if you're doing the data, you could clearly see that Cal McGregor, fucking Scott Brown, are thriving in the game. Do you know what I mean?
But
even if I could see that on television, Mark, do you know what I mean?
And this is I mean, it's Davey. I keep calling them like bra tops. They say we tops of players wear.
They do, yeah.
So Gavin Strachan sitting there and getting all the data coming for them, how long they're running for, how long. Do you get what I mean? If they're slowing things like that. And it was just, to me, Lennon just wasn't interested in it.
No.
I don't think he maybe came right out with it and says, nah, it's a load of bollocks to me or that, but I think probably Strachan got the impression after a while that, well, I'm kind of wasting my time here. This guy's not taking anything I'm saying. He's not taking anything I'm saying in. He's not using any information I'm giving him.
Mhm. The thing, Mark, that like we were going like speaking of tiredness there, like, and Lennon was saying that Callum McGregor was irreplaceable in the Celtic squad, that he needed to be playing every game. He was that type of player. That, but I saw there clearly today that Owen Henderson can fit into that position, or fucking Leo Connor when he came on, he could finish it. Like Leo Connor only played 30 minutes. I didn't see much of him today, Mark, to be honest.
But
But he could fit into. Do we have youth players that can fit into those positions, Mark? Do you know what I mean?
no player should be expected to play every game of the season.
50 was it 53 games along that Mark he played last season, like.
That's See, to me, that's you doing Callum McGregor a disservice. It was like
Mhm.
I said about Scott Brown there in his final year. Scott Brown didn't need to play in every game. Scott Brown should have been kept at his peak for the big tough games. You get what I mean? The important games, the games that win and lose your leagues. Celtic should
Mhm.
have a squad big enough to go out and beat your St Mirrens, your Hamiltons, your Kilmarnocks without relying on Scott Brown when he's no fully fit, or Cal McGregor when it's his 25th game.
Exactly, Mark.
25th
Clearly, Mark, like
on
you're
him.
saying, like, like, like. Of course, we saw players last season like who walked up for it. We had Lexell. We saw John Joe Kenny wasn't the player we thought. Like, but like we had young Montgomery playing the last two games in the pre-seasons, and he was better than the two loan players that we brought in last season. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, he was definitely better than
Better,
Laxalt
yeah.
anyway. In
Do
the,
you know, it just shows, Mark, that our young players are there, and with the right backroom staff, I think, and, and for Kennedy too, Mark. And I'm going to throw a thing like that. Kennedy should have been playing Montgomery too instead of Laxell and stuff like that,
that's
like the last couple of games, and that's why. But that's why there's a lot of ill hatred. We say hatred towards Kennedy, Mark, because he didn't give these lads a chance, and considering that he walked through the youth systems at Celtic as well, Mark, that he should have given, and that's why the people are frustrated with Kennedy, because he didn't
I'm more
do what the fans
disappointed.
wanted to do.
I'm more disappointed than frustrated, Paul. If that makes sense.
Yes.
I really did expect Kennedy to come in and stamp some kind of his own, whether it was picking players or whether it was how they were playing. I expect him to stamp some kind of his own identity on the team, and he just never done it. And
Hmm.
while that was going on, I was thinking to myself, what's going on here? Is he just a clone of Lennon? Does he not get any new ideas of his own kind of thing?
Hmm. Exactly. No, but clearly, Mark, what I saw in it definitely that the players are there, and it's no excuse, no, Mark, for a player to be playing 56 games a season when we should be resting players and bringing young players 30 minutes, if 30 minutes left into a game, Mark, for 3 or 4 up in the game. Hopefully we'll 3-0 or 4 up there. We haven't seen that either last season, but I think there's goals in Ange's teams, Mark, more so than what we saw last season. There's actually goals in these teams the way they play.
Oh, without a doubt, just for what I've seen like the other day, just a total night and day, Paul, for last year. You know,
Hmm.
when Celtic's up to full speed, they're going to be, they're even regardless even who they really bring in, they're going to be a much better team than they were last season, without
Hmm.
a shadow of a doubt. It just comes down to if you can get the right personnel in. You make these that wee bit of an edge kind of thing on Rangers. That's
Just go to the Midtjylland game and with with Forrest isolating. Is he still left training on his own, Mark, James Forrest, because he did show any COVID signs, has he? Forrest, it was just close contact. Is he still left training on his own? Will he be fit for the Midtjylland game, or will he be out?
he'll probably be training at Lennox down in his own kind of gym or something to keep him fit enough. But well, when was that even into isolation?
So it came out last week. Is it 10 days he has to isolate, Mark?
I think he should be. Yeah, Forrest should be ready
I
for
think he'll be back for the
tomorrow. I
Preston
think
game,
so.
yeah, Preston game there next weekend, and then for the thing like. But there's improvements there, Mark. You could clearly see we need players, but at the moment there's young players, and I think, Mark, a lot of these young players might actually play the Michelin. I suppose we have no choice really, Mark. That some of them would have to. But Julian still isn't fit. Oyer wasn't there. I haven't seen Aya. Was Aya there in the last game, Mark? Sheffield Wednesday.
No, he
Was
wasn't. No.
he wasn't there either again today, and I didn't see him on the sidelines either. So you're going to have Welch and maybe Beeson, I think. What the two starting centre backs today, so I think Mark Day maybe will be
Oh,
could be our two centre backs. We might have the other lad.
5 days into the 15th,
Is
cup
that
appointed.
why then Mark to throw a player then into a team without even playing or getting to know your squad?
But if Celtic signed somebody on Monday,
Oh, they could sign someone tomorrow.
what?
You know, they could sign someone tomorrow.
Aye, but no, but that's what I mean.
Yeah,
I mean, I've been have any problem with Celtic signing a player in the next 4 or 5 days and expecting them to play against
is
Midtjylland.
it? It's the 15th, is it? Then
The
the 15th.
15th, I'm sure it's the
They
15th.
have to have the squad. So Mark, if we don't to have outside with it, we do a pod and we'll discuss the players that we had, and maybe we can come up with something that we think maybe the match will the start line might be. Pedro's right there. Bowley was on the bench there. Mark, and he looked happy. Uh, I think Mark, he could be.
I
Every
think
player deserves a second chance, Mark, and I think
it's
look, he made a mistake, Mark, and considering all how punishments came down for other teams, maybe he was harshly treated, Mark. Do you think?
I thought said at the time. I thought it was harshly treated. Yeah, fair enough. I don't think he was harshly treated with like the rule, the SFA, and do you know what I mean? The punishment that he got for that kind of thing. But I think when you look back, you've got to say that he was harshly treated even by the Celtic support. I think.
Mhm. Mhm.
I mean, people say, "Oh, the last season's meltdown all stems from what happened with ball and goalie and that." No.
That was going back. The meltdown started with the Fenerbahce game. Do you know what I mean? And he was blamed for that as well. And he wasn't. And the COVID thing happened after that game, didn't it? You know.
He's just silly, a young stupid boy. But that to me, that's a kind of young boy's prank, stupid.
So are you happy so with those three left backs? So we have Belengoli, Taylor, and Montgomery.
No, I'm not ecstatic. I wouldn't say I'm happy, but
Confident
mm, against two,
against Danny Bournemouth, going into a game against Rangers.
beat Mikey's team. I think we'd be alright against somebody Mikey could get together. Against the Rangers, I don't see why, no.
You know.
There's a lot of excuse me, Paul. A lot of just Paul again comes down to what they're told to do in the park, the tactics.
hmm And that
I mean, sure,
that 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 was actually
we know
that
Taylor.
that actually made a difference today, Mark. That the tactics made a difference today. Every player knew what they were doing,
That's what I
and
mean.
that's a benefit to you, Mark. Do you know what I mean?
Right, we all know that Taylor isn't the best going forward. So,
Well, he's the best defenders in the Scottish League, then, aren't they?
so Ange will know that Taylor's not the best. So he'll adjust. See if he's playing Taylor against whoever, he'll adjust the game plan accordingly.
hmm
To get what I mean? That's what a good manager will do.
hmm
Myself at Ibrox, if Taylor had been playing instead of Laxalt, it could have
hmm
been a different story. So for me, when it comes to things like positions where you're saying, have we really got an outstanding, I don't mean a standout number one choice in that position. For me, Ange is the type of manager that will know himself. That's not his strong point. So
hmm
we'll not play the game that way. We'll play it this way to accommodate that.
Okay, well, look, we're not going to talk about this, and I don't want the live chat putting nothing up either on this, please. So at the moment, we have three strikers. We don't know the situation. One of our other strikers, Lee Griffiths, marked as things going on in his personal life. So please just respect the live chat. So at the moment, we only have two strikers, Ayesi and Edward. One who wants to be away. We've seen a difference in Ayesi, which I'm comfortable at the moment. But Mark, that's a really weakened area is our strikers. You know, because we don't know the position of one of them at the moment. You know.
I can't mind if it was Barry or Mikey I was talking to on one of the other podcasts and talking about the players that we need it and urgently.
Mhm.
And I said who'd put positions. I think they said centre half and right back. And I said, what about striker? If I don't know if you can remember, because
Mhm.
we didn't know even the state of Griffiths' fitness, whatever. I'm not getting into that. We thought Ajeti was a waste of space, basically, and we knew Edward was for the off. But the way Ajeti's looked the last two games, and
Mhm.
he could be like a new signing. I know that's a bit of a cliche, but he
He
really,
will, Mark. Yeah,
he really
definitely.
could
Yeah.
be. But we definitely need to strengthen that position. Don't know whether we're waiting, and I'm not nothing against the lad, that young Nisbet. I don't think Nisbet's the type of Lively a replacement.
We need an experience up there as well, Mark. We
No,
need
not even experienced, because Edward wasn't experienced, but
no.
we need a main man. Do you know what I mean? We can't sell Edward and replace him with a guy for Hibs.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Get Shorty Griffiths and replace him with a guy for Hibs. And as
Mhm.
I said, if Yeti was leaving, replace him with a guy for Hibs. But when Edward goes, whether it's waiting for this, for whatever he see with money or whatever, we need to get a top striker, as top as Celtic can get, obviously. But we need to get a top striker in pretty damn quick, in my opinion, Paul.
Yeah, it's. I see that now today, Mark. That at the moment we've only two. Yes, he played the first half. Edward played the second half. If either one gets injured, Mark, that's only one centre forward we have at the moment at the club. Then and the best thing, Mark, that what I said to you, Mark, and I stand by is that we don't have no young striker within our ranks, and there's no young striker on the bench or in the youth system training with the first team this season.
Oh, see, you know, you said that, I thought I read about one, Paul.
Who's that?
Oh, I meant to send you the link to it. So I don't know if it actually is a striker, but they said it was something about a young Celtic forward, and then it was something and it said striker, and I meant to send you, just because you're always saying that there isn't one on the books. I'm not.
Hmm.
Maybe I've read it wrong because it was other. I was lying in bed the other night on my tablet reading it, but I know what you mean. It's definitely there's nothing. We're sitting there saying there's obviously good youth players coming through. There's nobody really for the
Lads, two
striker.
seconds there. Lads, can you please stop talking about the Lee Griffiths situation, please? As
Just let
there's a police investigation and stuff like that, lads, and the safety service, please. It's like, but yeah, but Mac, they may be a young lad down there now, but not ready to step up. Do you know what I mean? And there's no one training with even with the first team now, Mark. The amount of young players that we have, so it is really worrying, Mark, that Celtic can't really produce such a young striker like in this,
well,
you know.
we did have that young boy Aitchison,
And he left, yeah.
but he left. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Who is it he's with now? Forest Green, no.
Forest Green, I think, yeah, yeah.
Jackson Irvine signed for them. No, Jackson Irvine signed for him the other day as well. Just
Mm-hmm.
uh, but
Another young lad there left recently, Mark, was the Italian goalkeeper left, was it, that young lad? He was a goalkeeper, Angelini or something, was it?
Davy Hayes' grandson
Yeah, did he leave as well, did he?
left. I'm sure he left just the other day, but that's been going on for a while.
There was a few teams.
I was actually surprised to read that he'd left because I thought he was already away, Paul. To be honest.
I thought he was going to AC Milan in January, Mark, when they were coming in when they was coming in from there with AC Milan. So moving on to transfers, Mark. On the last podcast, we gave our guests some time to discuss their own topics and their own concerns about Celtic. One topic, especially that caught my eye, was from Barry. Uh, Barry, the Iceman Mancini. We call him because it's all Italian today. Like his concern, Mark, was that Celtic are always slow in the transfer market, and it's continuing. No, Mark. Like, are we slowing up business, Mark? Or the way I was putting it was that maybe Ange is accessing the squad at the moment, and he's not making any signs until he sees the players at his disposal.
Uh,
You know,
who is signing anybody, Paul?
no one. The only club at the moment that has their business done, I think, is Aberdeen.
But I mean, it's still only what, the 10th of July. There's plenty the window's open for.
I think that the Euros held up a lot of
Oh, that's
transfer
for a
business
lot
too,
as
Mark,
well.
didn't they?
But
You know,
I don't. To be honest, Paul, I don't really think there'll be many players at the Euros. It will be.
no.
and if they are, they've probably been home a couple of weeks. Do you know what I mean? But I think
Mhm.
agents, they'll be hanging about these Euro camps to the
Mhm.
business of them. But again, Celtic always get accused of being slow with their business. But it's not always Celtic's fault. They're
Mhm.
we're linked again with Ben Davis kind of thing. I mean, you can't blame Celtic for Ben Davis no signing for us in January.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just there's a million different reasons that transfers can get held.
Money, money talks as well, Mark. There was in that deal, like if we're going to be offered 60,000 to what maybe Celtic were off maybe 15 to 20. Do you know you're going to go for 60,000, really, Mark, aren't you? And Liverpool, you know.
You can't, I said at the time, you can't blame Ben Davis for making a choice that he made. I mean, fair dues, it's not turned out to.
But are we slow, Mark,
I,
to what the fans are saying, like compared to previous seasons, like
I don't
I.
think so, Paul. I mean, I send you wee clips of stuff that Ed do
Mhm.
tweets me and that. And for reading the kind of things, Paul, transfers can take, I know that's at the highest level, but transfers can take months to get over the line
Mhm.
when you're dealing with these agents. But that again, that's at the very top level when you're like that Viola guy and things like that. But even when it trickles down to our kind of level, it can still take a lot of time. I mean, the boys we've signed, they were out due a contract.
Mhm.
Deals have been getting worked on for months probably, and then when they
Mhm.
were free to sign, they've signed.
Or maybe, Mark, are we waiting for the likes of Oyer, Christie, Edward, and maybe Champ to leave, Mark, before? Like, are we dependent on that money in our transfer window, Mark? Is what I'm saying. Are we dependent on getting big figures for these players?
That might be a part of it to know the exact amount, but in general,
Hmm.
I
We
mean,
have a budget, don't we, Mark?
and transfers are paid in instalments anyway, Paul.
Hmm.
Again, it could be a factor waiting to see the money that's coming in before Celtic, what's the word, no jump in.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Kind of give the word
And another thing
go
too,
on.
Mark, like
It might
that,
be that to give the word go on it. They might
the
to see how the books are going to balance up.
Celtic always kind of signed one or two players as well in the transfer window for the next season as well. We always kind of signed players, and if we would have signed maybe two players in the transfer into this season, they would have been holy war because it'd be like why you letting Neil Lennon sign players when he's not going to be there next season, or why you signing players now when we have no manager? Do you know what I mean? You know, it seems to be up in the air between fans. Like you're not going to please them. Like if you sign two players in January for next season, you'd be like, why are you signing players now when we don't have a manager?
Well,
Do you know what I
we've
mean?
got two new players.
Scott,
We've brought two new players in, and people go, aye, but we never spent any real money on them.
and it was because,
We
and
spent,
then they said then like, but they were all transfer targets, Mark, weren't they?
but
You know,
we never really spent any money on Musa and Dembele.
no, sure he was part of that compensation package as well from Fulham that time, Mark, weren't they?
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
But
I
at the
never,
time, Mark, we never knew about that. Did this Celtic or something like that? It was Brendan Rodgers that exploited that, I think, Mark, was this?
no, so, who was it? Was it know the heat of recruitment before Brendan Rodgers came in that already lined the deal up? I'm sure it
Wow.
was something like that. The deal was already in place before Rodgers came in. I'm sure it was.
Hmm.
That's just off the top of my head right enough, but I'm sure the deal for Dembele was already in place before Rodgers came in. And
But
I've said it before, Paul. I don't really care how much Celtic spend on a player. I really
it's the wages, Mark.
I'd rather they spent more money in wages than the transfer fee because
You see, that's what
there
people don't understand, Mark. Like we can compete with the best of teams, but it's the wages that is the bracket that's that we have to have a budget in wages, or the club will end up going bust. And some people just,
go bust, but they end up in trouble. It can come back and bite you if you
yeah,
overspend.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. Or overspending or go over your means, Mark. Do you know what I mean? You know.
For me, it's more about if the more wages you can pay, the better player you're going to entice. Because transfer fees can be, you can get bargains out there, just players that clubs want off their books for one reason or another. Scott Sinclair, there's a prime example. You push the boat a wee
Hmm.
bit on his wages, and we got a player like Scott Sinclair. So I said it 100 times on the podcast. Just
Hmm.
don't bother me. I'd like to see spend putting our wage bracket up. But these
David,
there've been bargains that Celtic's brought in, Dembele, Lubo, even Henry Larsson, although that's a kind of legal matter that we only get him for
mhm.
650,000. So it's the thing, like the guys complaining about, oh, the two young players that have come in, they're only projects, quote unquote, and we've no spent any real money, blah blah. It doesn't matter. You're sitting raving about Liam Shaw's performance today.
Yeah, amazing, Mark. Like,
That could end up to be the bargain of the season.
and only 2 games, Mark. You know, and he looked a proper player that's been with Celtic for weeks and months. You know what I mean? Like a proper player. Was it John Park? David Gallagher was saying there, Mark. Was did he line up the?
Thinking that, but it was maybe, I don't know if it was maybe before his time.
I actually know now. I know he's involved with Legawas. I know he's chief scout over there, and he's picking up all the young Polish players. Maybe he might find it out of Camilla. We never know. You never know. But like one thing, Mark, that got me with the transfers today, Mark, it was Oyer that he didn't seem to be there. Like, do you think maybe his move is imminent, that he's moving?
Could be. It could be imminent, or it could be just a case of it's that far down the line, or that there's no point in him coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Celtic's tell him just not to come back.
Mm-hmm. I think Celtic have set their benchmark and mark is 15 million, but I think we can expect around 12 to 30 maybe bids coming in from Norwich and Newcastle.
I'd say 12 million plus probably a sell on, and
Yeah,
that'll get you. I mean, I'd say the balls. Newcastle, mind it was all the press. Newcastle are going to get him for £8 million. I knew I'd say to a line. I knew when the world Celtic were going to sell that for
no,
£8 million.
no, and it does,
For the
it does,
fact, see, even if Newcastle did bid £8 million, it would get chucked out the door. It would get laughed at because
hmm
there's clubs that will pay a lot more than that for him.
hmm One player I'd like out the door, Mark, clearly today is Christie. I just want him out. But between all the players, Mark, Oyer, Edward, even Ed Cham, Mark, it's Christie that what I saw of him today, like just blowing that ball. A really overrated player, Mark. Like who does he think he is? Like,
See, when it comes to it, he is Paul, and right, obviously my feelings towards him are obvious now, but I mean, I was a big Christie fan.
hmm
Has he really been? I mean, it's what, a good 12 months, 18 months for us.
hmm
And
no,
apart from that, I mean, he took out on loan to Aberdeen because he wasn't good enough to come back. He had a good year, 18 months, and then for then he's just been honking as well. And yet he thinks he's the next, I don't know, the next Maradona.
mm,
Seems that arrogant and ego. And I don't know, because I used to think when we first signed him, I used to see him on the telly and I think he's quite a level-headed young guy. But
mm.
just during a couple of years, he just seems to think I don't know, I think he thought he was the best player Celtic had. I do see when he was scoring a few goals and things like that. I think that's what got to his
See,
head.
that's it, Mark. Yeah, scoring these spectacular goals, and he thinks he's even better now that he got Scotland to the Euros as well, don't he?
Aye,
You
his dad was never out the press, bumming him up and things like that. Which fair dues, it's his son, but I mean, his dad's been hyping him up for a move to a bigger team in a bigger league for about 2 years now. Really,
But
when you think about it.
are Burnley and Crystal Palace and Sampdoria, you know, Mark, of craving for him. Like, are they bigger than Celtic? I don't think so. They're bigger than Celtic.
Oh, I don't.
You
I
know,
can't see Sampdoria being interested in Christie. If they have, I've not really seen much Italian football for a while, Paul. But if there's Sampdoria's been right downhill the last few years. But,
unless they move the goals up.
but even at
You
that,
know,
it's is it is it like Ayer going to Norwich,
no,
Van
that's what I'm saying, Mark.
or Van Dijk going
It's
to
it's
Southampton?
it's to get your next move in the Premier League, Mark. Isn't
That's
this?
exactly it. That's it.
You know.
Christie goes down there with Burnley or whoever.
See, the big clubs, Mark, would never take a risk on a player from Scottish football until he's proven in the league. Like Oyer had to go to Southampton. Not Oyer, sorry,
Van,
Virgil van Dijk. Yeah, had to go to Southampton to get this big move, like didn't they?
uh,
You know.
and I mean, I think that's why Arsenal have kind of pulled off a masterstroke, even at 25 million
Mm-hmm.
for
Charlie.
KT, because he's going to be. Tierney will be one of the best. It probably is the new, but he will be one of the best left backs in the world, and Arsenal will make a packet of him, and hopefully Celtic will make a few bucks as well. And
Hmm.
maybe other teams might look at see if Christie was maybe had played. See if he was like maybe 21 or 22 and had played the way he was 2 years ago. I think maybe one of the bigger teams would maybe now take a look at him because
Hmm.
what's happened with Van Dijk and things like that. They've had to get down there for a year and end up costing them a fortune rather than saying, well, really, we could say, I mean, if Liverpool would come up here and signed Virgil van Dijk for £12 million and he went down and played for Liverpool for a year and they fancy him, they would still get they'd still get their 10, 12, 15 million, £20 million back from him just because of the way the transfer market is down in England.
Hmm.
I think a lot of the clubs will maybe now look at the success Arsenal have had with KT, the route Virgil van Dijk took at the time. I mean, even after a year down there, Armstrong, there was a lot of interest in Armstrong. He never really.
Never can, yeah, never kind of came to anything.
Caught the eye of a couple of the. Was it Spurs? I think Spurs were looking at Armstrong after a season down there. So
Hmm.
but to me, that's the kind of thing that Ayer and that will be looking at. I'm not going to do much at your Burnleys or things like that, but it gives Burnley or Norwich, but it'll give that shop window again.
Hmm.
Step up the next, move to the next level.
How many, if any, Mark, are we expecting maybe before the 15th?
And many,
Two players, new signings, maybe two players coming in, Mark. Because like when I said to you, my only concern yesterday is that our average backline age at the moment, because Julian is injured, if you take Beast or not out, Mark, is between 18 to 21, and that's a very young backline to be going into a Champions League qualifier into.
I I think there'll be at least one surely, Paul.
Hmm.
I think there's got to be a. I mean, in a way, it's a good thing that we've had that young defence today and it played
Yeah,
as you're saying. But again,
yeah.
that's a pre-season friendly. When it comes to a Champions League qualifier,
Different pressure, Mark. There's going to be fans in the pitch stadium as well, Mark. There's different pressure on the players then as well, Mark. That there's is it 2,000 fans are going to be left in?
uh,
You know,
2000, they'll need to be allowed.
I mean that's ridiculous considering what you're seeing at the Euros.
Not even the Euros. Just before I went out to chapel tonight,
Yeah,
my missus was sitting watching Wimbledon, and
yeah, full.
they're sitting there, and none of them's got a mask on or nothing.
Hmm.
So
Full.
what's the difference?
You know, I don't know. I actually, I'd be interested to see, Mark, what the other teams are going to be left in their stadiums and stuff like that. You know, because I can guarantee you when we go to Denmark to play Mitch in the way that be in their full stadium.
I
You
mean,
know.
is it even worse? I don't mean worth it. Obviously, the fans and that's it for the guys with season tickets are going to get in. It's worth it. But is it worth Celtic actually going through the rigmarole with having 2,000 fans in?
No, considering how big Celtic Park is, Mark, I don't think you're going to be making like. But why is there like a rule? Like if you're vaccinated, Mark, why can't you go in because you're vaccinated? Like you know what I mean? Do you know that? You know.
If you've had the two Jags, and
Hmm.
if you've got the two Jags and wear a mask, surely you should be allowed to. I mean, see, even like at Celtic Park, even if it was like you're sitting in a seat and then it's an empty seat and then somebody, do you know what I mean? Just every second seat there's somebody in it.
Hmm.
Half the attendance, you know what I mean? 25, 30,000 people in it.
Like it's one of the biggest stadiums in Britain. Like you know what I mean? It can hold 60,000. Like
They've only let 2,000 in.
yeah. It's ridiculous. Speaking of the
I'd say Masons again.
huh?
I'd say Masons again, Paul.
Moving on. With the club and the training grounds this season. In Wales, we had some good Welsh players playing with us, Mark, over the years. We had Adam Matthews, George Ledley, John Hart's, and Craig Bellamy. If you had a chance to sign one of those players down, Mark, and like put you in the spot 'cause I didn't have it down, who would you take? Like, and who do you think made the most impact in his time when they were at Celtic?
Well, Hartson probably made the biggest impact, but I'd probably rather sign Craig Bellamy.
in his short time that he was there, Mark, he was a real hit, wasn't he,
Craig
Bellamy?
Craig, me and we were talking the other night, we spoke about
Mm-hmm,
signings and that, Paul, and how I think loan signing should be somebody that wee bit special that adds a wee bit of class to you,
mm-hmm.
like Robbie Keane. Craig
Robbie King, Bellamy was the same, wasn't
Bellamy
he?
was like that, he was a wee bit, what's the word the young ones using, that different gravy into it, that's what they say.
Mm-hmm,
Bellamy
mm-hmm.
was a wee level above you. Bellamy was a cracking player. He was a poor arsehole right enough, but he was a cracking player.
I was Adam Matthew then was being interviewed by Celtic TV today, just being a former Celtic player, and he was saying that he didn't want to leave the club. That Celtic got an offer, Celtic accepted the offer. He he had to move because the offer was accepted. That he actually wanted to stay at Celtic at that time. Like so, it's just going to show like any decent offer, like Celtic aren't in a position, are we, Mac, to refuse any decent offer for any player, really, Mac, are we?
How much was it we got for Adam Matthews?
Jeez, I said it was about 3 or 4 million, Mark. I said that.
Off the top of my head, 4 million is. I didn't know that, Paul, till you've said that. I thought Matthews left
He
because
only said today. But just before the match preview when they were talking to him, he was because he signed. He plays with Charlton now, and he was still told said he actually didn't want to leave at the time. That he wanted to stay at the club because it was a winning team.
I
They
bet
had the likes of Hooper. They had all that. You know.
Was he no getting into last year's contract?
I don't know. He didn't
Well,
say that. But
just off
yeah,
the top of my head, Paul, he was getting into
yeah.
last year's contract, and it was because we signed him as a Bosman, didn't we, Adam
Mhm.
Matthews? And
Mhm.
because we signed him as a Bosman, see his wages, we couldn't give him a wage rise.
Mhm.
Because he was a Bosman, we were giving him like the top level of wages
Aha.
for him at
Mhm.
the time. And to renew his contract, obviously, he would need a wage rise. That's kind of in my head there, Paul. There was something
So
like that. Oh,
so do
I'm not saying it. That's
Are we? Does that mean, Mark, are Celtic like? Are we not in a position, Mark, as a club, and because of the Scottish football, Mark, that we're not in a position to refuse money for any player if it's a decent enough offer?
I'm
You
not,
know,
no, I think I do refuse it, Paul, if it's just decent. I think Celtic, when it comes to selling players, I think Celtic do well with it, Paul. I wouldn't say. I mean, there we could bring
that's one thing I give Laurel.
talking
He
about
was
Aya,
accused.
Edward. If they were, well, obviously they're available, but we're not just going to accept any half decent offer for them.
Mhm. That's one thing I liked about Laurel, Mark, that he was shrewd in the transfer business. He did bring a lot of money into the club. But
That was one of his good things. Definitely
it,
done
it,
well for us in that side there.
but then again, like if Celtic were down it just shows the difference between Scottish football, Mark, and European football leagues in Spain and stuff like that, and England. If Celtic were in England, Mark, playing the Premiership, and if we were selling Oyer, Celtic be looking at about 80 million for any team to buy Oyer. Or not Oyer, sorry. Oyer, you'd Van Dijk, you had Tierney. You'd be looking at Jesus,
But
the amount of money.
see the thing about it, see if Celtic were down in the Premier League, but we'd still have Van Dijk.
We will be selling these players, Mark. Yeah,
Wouldn't we?
exactly.
Do you know what I mean? The money, everybody knows it. You put us in a league with that kind of money, and Celtic are going to be one of the top teams in it. Even for,
Hmm.
even when it comes to finances, Celtic would be like Manchester United. See no matter,
Fan base and everything, Mark, and everything. Yeah, worldwide
see
fan
no
base.
matter really where Manchester United finish in the league and that, they're still well, they've got all that kind of glacier debt thing behind them, but to the normal fan in the street, they're rolling in money. They can spend what they want on who they want, and Celtic
Hmm.
would be at that level as well. And I still think we'd be run a lot more better than a lot of these teams in England are run, because a lot of them
Hmm.
is a house of cards.
Hmm.
Not just England, across Europe. I mean, look at the money Barcelona, the state they're in the now, Paul.
Geez, the pandemic, Mark, really is really after hitting Spanish football, didn't it?
Then in France as well, they've TV deals with Pete Tong as well, in
But
France.
should Celtic maybe we are, Mark. We don't know. Like we don't know what's happening. Trying to exploit that. Like,
Try and join the French league.
hmm no, like exploited that. I remember that TV deal fell. If that was it kind of in the middle of last season, Mark. That it kind of fell through, didn't it? And all the
there's still fallout for it and that. I read an article on the Celtic uh, sites the other day. It was this morning. The guy saying it's because of that the trouble there in France with the TV money and that Celtic should be looking out there for players after the success we've had there the last few years.
Hmm.
2 months ago, we were reading about how stupid it was to bring in all these huffy French players like Edouard and Ange and that.
Yeah, that's my list then, like bringing back into the French players again, Mark.
And now
You
we
know.
should be buying them because we can get them cheap.
So speaking about TV, Celtic TV want to get new commentators. My God, was that boring today listening to them? And
Was
I
talking
couldn't tell you why. No, I don't know who it was by, but Jesus, Mark, Christ, like I'd more excitement in a fart rather than
moan about the referees.
no, they didn't
Who's the
because
Tom Boyd did? That's what
no,
Tom Boyd sits and does moans about the referee.
one of them said that they would have great confidence going into the Scottish League with our backline. And I'm looking at going, but the average age is only fucking 18 to 21, and this is pre-season. How would you be confident going into, like, maybe they will be back, we don't know, maybe they will prove us wrong, like, but they're way too young of a backline for me, Mac, to have going into next season, you know?
You need a bit of experience in there. I think if a day, Paul, I'll say there'll be at least one centre back
Hmm.
signed before the 15th.
Hmm.
Just
Uh,
because of necessity, Paul.
hmm.
I mean,
Exactly.
it's going to be tough enough. But we've seen Midtjylland's the kind of easiest job we could have hoped for.
It's not going to be an easy game, Mark, what people are taking, like, because,
It's the easiest draw we could have got, but there's
yeah,
no way it's going to be an easy game.
exactly, like, and plus, like, they're in the same boat as us, Mark. They want to get through to the next round as well, like, and they have a hard route as well, Mark. Not qualifying,
They'll be
you know.
kind of, I've said it for every podcast we've spoke about it. The teams Celtic have struggled against are well organised, well drilled teams, and Midtjylland will be well organised and well drilled. That's
Hmm.
it's, it'll be uh, a good gauge Ange's kind of progress again in such a short time. We've seen how impressed we've been with what we've seen the other day and what you've seen today,
Hmm.
such a short space of time. So I get another 2 weeks till we're playing Midtjylland, and hopefully we'll be a wee bit even kicked on more, and we'll see even more about how we're going to be playing going forward. I
Hmm.
think we'll still be strong enough to beat them over the two legs, Paul, but it's not going to be a walk in the park.
No, I was impressed with how they played the fast flowing ball, Mark, and two touch passes and stuff like that. But I wouldn't be confident in going into next season with this squad. Do you know, we still roughly need, going by what you saw, Mark. Like we were saying at the start of the season, we need 8 to 9 players. Do we need 8 to 9 players considering what we saw of our youth players so far this thing, Mark, that they should be given a chance?
But again, Paul, this Colts team, a lot of them are going to have to
Got
come
a big down there, yeah, and yeah, and the problem with that is, Mark, that if they play 5 games in the first team, they can't play in the Colts team there until the next transfer window.
Aye,
So you're in a tricky situation as well with your coach. It's not like the reserve league that you can call up a player one week and then put him back down to the reserves team. Then another week you can't do that.
for me, it's going to put a bit of a spanner in the works, Paul, a bit for Ange.
Mhm.
I'm not sure. Somebody asked on the live chat earlier on when the Colts team's announced. I'm not sure when it's announced, but
Their next first match is around. I think is it the 17th or 18th around Mickey's. They're playing that kind of charity shield thing.
there must
Yeah.
well,
So it
it must be due
just
announced, and
just seems like
that gives an idea of what the squad, the first team squad's going to look like going forward.
because at the moment I couldn't tell you what young players going to be in the first team because they all really did impress me. Like, do you know what I mean?
Sure, Liam Shaw will be there.
Montgomery, I think might be.
But again, if you've got Ball and Golly there and you've got Taylor there, and it's
That's gonna hinder his
been linked with Hickey,
progress Denmark as well, isn't it?
so who's
You
going
know,
to who's Do you know what I mean? But is Montgomery better off being done playing in this Colts team or being third choice at Celtic? He's got to.
And then not getting his game Denmark then, and
That's what
he's stuck in the rot then for 2 years Denmark again, like indeed.
for me. Montgomery's got to get down to that Colts team.
Mhm. Some fellas are saying this young lad Leo Hellege should be up in the first team, Mark. He's only 18, Mark. It's too early. He's a big, strong lad, Mark. I give him that, but he's still very young. Like the coach thing would help him vastly, even for a year, Mark, just to get up against these tougher players.
I think he's too good for that Colts team, Paul.
Yeah,
I'd have, I'd have him either in our first team squad or I'd put him out on loan for another year.
yeah, because he is a big lad, Mark, isn't he?
He's a really good player.
And he actually moved into left back as well today, Mark, in the second half. He moved into left back and he was up and down that line as well today.
And there you go, 17-year-old Paul.
Yeah.
You can
I think that's what
there.
a 17 that you need to start training your 17-year-olds, Mark, that if you're a young lad that you can play in multiple positions, who was it Montgomery, Mark, that was a striker, wasn't he? And he was changed to
Calvin Miller.
Calvin Miller, yes, and he was changed to a right wing back, Mark, and he was a striker.
But that's what they do in Holland. All the players learn to play every position on the park.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of decide what their best position is. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that young Leo Helge, or however you pronounce that. I mean,
You're asking me.
but he might. I mean, at 17, he might be capable of being turned into a left back.
Yeah, no, he did, Mark. The only one I think of the young players, Mark. Well, I saw the only one who I just saw the same players I saw last season. Was young. Was Johnston? What's his name? Mickey Johnston. Still looks too light for me, Mark. He was still getting pushed. I know he had a good shot today. I know he had a rocket of a shot that it blew off the post. But other than that, Mark, he did nothing for me. He was still going down over Sid's shoulder or still like that. He's still compared to what I was saying last season, that Dembele was too light and that he might go down easy in the Scottish League if he was getting regular football. But you compare the two now. Mickey Johnston did nothing to help his physique build up a bit of muscle, Mark. He still looks very light for me.
Pimpy's that's kind of his natural body, Paul.
That could be that, yeah.
See, like if you're a wee guy like that and you had too much muscle, it can go against you.
Yeah.
Mikey Johnson, he's a bit an enigma, isn't he? I mean,
he has, Mark, because he's been in the first team now and he really hasn't settled down in that team.
I'm not saying he's a bad player. Technically, he's a really good young player, but he just doesn't seem to have the physical attributes.
Yeah.
To suit the Scottish game, kind of thing.
That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah.
I don't know. Is he too old for the Colts team? Would I hear the Colts getting?
I think he would be, Mark. I think it's only you can only have.
See, I'd go.
Is it four? The rules are four. You can only have 4 under 21 players in your coach team. It's going to be it has to be kind of 17 to 20-year-olds really that have to be playing in that, and you're left only about 4 under 21 players.
Mikey Johnson starting to fall into kind of Anthony Ralston kind of category for
exactly, and that was the price to. But in fairness, now, Mark,
you said he played.
He did well today, and he did get up and down the ball. But again, Mark, pre-seasons, as Barry said, it's all about getting your fitness up, getting used to the way the manager plays. But he did play well today, Mark. In fairness to him.
Well, I mean, could Ralston be a good number 2 at right back?
I think he could, Mark. I considering what I saw to him today. If he started next week, Mark, right back, Mark, right?
Anytime I've seen him, you've got to give him 12 out of 10 for effort. He'll not stop running for you.
No, it's the same today, yeah, the same today. No, if he would have started at right back, Mark, I'd accept it. I wouldn't moan about it because realistically, Mark, he is the only right back now. I know the new lad came in there today and he played brilliant, Mark. Ozaza, he was brilliant today. Every tackle, Mark, he was on the ball. He was there. He knew he could read the game, Mark, and I don't think Ralston can read the game. Do you get me?
Aye, the kind of
You know,
intelligence that goes with the game.
yes,
Kind of,
yes.
aye,
Yeah, as you said, like Ralston would give you his all, Mark. He'd run up and down. He's run all over the place there, but
he's a,
his reading of the game is the problem, I think. You know.
see for me, Ralston, although he plays right back, he's to me he's more like he's like your old-fashioned kind of centre half.
Hmm.
You can look for somebody to just get whacked in the face with the ball with a free kick.
Yeah,
Ralston's your man. Do you get what I mean? He'll do.
or send on to get sent off.
But he's the type. No, but Ralston, he's the type who'd run through a brick wall kind of thing.
Hmm.
No, I mean we saw against Barcelona. I mean, don't he put in a great performance against Barcelona?
He did against. He did, Mark. And today, no, Mark. I really, I could see why they gave him the con because Mark he never did get a proper run in the team.
He never,
Do you know?
he never got a run in the team, and
You know, and
performances they were a bit hit and miss kind of thing. But even doing it, let's not be kidding, Paul. It'd be cheap.
mhm,
Wouldn't it cost? Celtic's no breaking the bank to give Tony Ralston an extra year's contract, and we didn't have a recognised right back at the club.
exactly.
I mean, Ralston will know himself. Ralston will know himself that he's signed when he signed that contract. He wasn't going to be Celtic's first choice right back for this coming
Oh,
season.
I say,
But
we do need it.
Maybe Big
Yeah,
Ange can turn the boat again with him. He's young enough to learn. That's
that's what I'm saying, Mark.
28, 29 and set in his ways kind of thing. He's
Under a different manager, Mark, we could see a different young player because he is still relatively young, Mark, and
somebody to get into his head and kind of get him to read the game better, teach him.
it could be the same with Mickey Johnson as well, Mark. You know what I mean? It could be the same as Mickey Johnson. Like he could be a player that could excel under a lot of our young players, Mark, could excel under Ange that haven't really got a chance under Neil Lennon. You know,
Who? Sorry, Paul. What was
I
that?
said a lot. I said Mickey Johnson could excel under Ange like a
For
lot of
me,
our young players.
it's down for me with Mikey Johnson. Paul, it's down to his physicality.
And
He's got
that's what I saw today again, Mark. He was going down too light, and he was looking for frees, Mark, but they weren't frees, Mark. They were just he was shouldering off the ball and he was too light. Do you get me?
I mean, who's the wee guy for Liverpool? The wee Swiss guy, Shaqiri.
Shakiri.
See, for me, that Mikey Johnson should be looking at like him.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Building up. See if you're not building up your upper. I think we said the big chunky. Do you know what I mean? The big muscled legs to keep you.
Yeah, and he doesn't have that.
Aye, to give you.
But that's what Dembele has, Mark. That's what Dembele has.
Aye, keep.
Dembele's legs today, Mark, were huge, like huge. You know, you could seriously think, Mark, that Dembele, because we said that, like that Lennon, there was people who were saying that why wasn't Dembele in the squad last season, and we said that he was told that he has to build up his physique, that he was too light. And maybe he actually did think he was too, and he did work on his build, Mark, because he looked a big player today, Mark. You know, he looked the right like that. He put his head down, Mark. He wants to play football, Mark, and he said it that he's been the happiest he has in the last 2 years at Celtic that because he played the last two games.
That's good to hear. It is. I mean, we were speaking about it earlier on. That his
Mm.
contract situation is. I wouldn't like to lose Dembele. I mean, that we.
And no, that's the thing that pisses me off, Mark. That we lose these young players and the fans hear about them in the reserves, and we hear about down in the under 18s, but we never get a chance to see them and make that judgment ourselves.
And let's not be kidding, Paul. A lot of it comes from Celtic.
Hmm.
Do you get what I mean? I mean, really, that Islam Farouz. It was
Hmm.
Celtic that hyped him up to the. Do you get what I mean? They hyped him up to the nines.
And don't forget, Mark,
Any of us really seen him, we all
exactly,
assumed that he
putting
was
them
a
out,
brilliant player.
putting them out on YouTube, Mark, YouTube clips here and there of him volleying the ball or doing dribbles like that, like since he was 13, Mark. I can remember Dembele
It was Celtic.
being on YouTube, yeah.
I, I, did he actually play any first team games for us, Paul? I don't think he did.
No.
He maybe did have somebody in the live chat will probably know, but even at that, it's like again like Dembele. We've all been talking about this young boy for years, and he's not
Hmm.
played that many games, and there is a lot of hype and expectation on that
Hmm.
on young Dembele, and that's. again, I hope Ange is the right manager to keep his
Exactly.
feet in the ground there, that, and
Mhm.
an Aaron Roonham and get to sign a new contract. And I've said it before. Right, Neil Lennon, I didn't no see his interview today, but I've said it on here before that Neil Lennon promised him barely game time last year.
Mhm.
Do you realise?
Yeah.
And Lennon's defence, Paul, I said that it's hard to put a young player into a team that's under pressure because all you're doing is putting that young player into that pressure situation,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
it's a lot, especially with the hype around the young lad. It's like
Mhm.
you go in there as a Celtic player and misplace a pass. The crowd's on your back. Social media's on your back. They're joking on about Christie. I mean, I'm not getting it. Yeah, I know what you mean, but it was still only one bad pass, Paul.
But Mark, there's a bad pass
No,
now.
no,
Yeah, there's a
no,
bad
no, I
pass.
know that. I know that.
But I do it.
It's a
Yeah.
it's a rolling. It's a like a rolling effect with Christie. It's just another thing with Christie. But as I said, it's right. But imagine that
But if that was a young lad in a game against
exactly.
Rangers or Aberdeen, Mark, that we have to win, that young player would be crucified. I get what you said.
So I can see Lennon's maybe point of no putting a young player into that kind of pressure pot situation. But I hope Ange is the man to get, as I said, get an Aaron Roonham talking. Because for me, Dembele said that he was leaving.
Yeah.
Told Celtic that. So I
And I
hope
was expecting him to leave this season, Mark, this summer. So maybe
Graham,
Ange has told him, look, I want to
you
see you. I want to see what you. Yeah, exactly.
this is what Ange's kind of speciality is. We've heard him say it himself. We've
Hmm.
heard Tom Mackay talk about it. That's one of his strong points is bringing on young players and helping them and
And
nurturing.
you said it, Mark, that it's actually a benefit to Celtic at the moment because our squad is so depleted that we had to bring in some of these young players, and Ange has actually seen so many of these young players that maybe can do a job for him,
And thought,
and they will be given their chance.
aye, Angela seen some of the young. See, like we're talking about this Colt squad.
Hmm.
Players that probably Celtic had earmarked to go and play in the
Exactly.
Colt squad, and Angela have seen them in the last couple of games and whatever games are coming up.
And I think Ange will be
He'll see,
out about too, Mark.
and for me, Angel saying, "Oh wait, no, he's not going to that Colts team. I want him in my first team squad."
And what I also think, Mark, is I think that Ange is the type of manager, Mark, that if the first team aren't playing, he'll go out and he'll watch an under 18s game, an under 16s game, or he'd watch a coach team's game. That he'll go out and he'd watch the players. Do you know what I mean? He'll see what players are at the club. You know, I think, as you said, he said, Mark, he loves football. He watches football 24/7 at home. So I think he'll be all over the club watching football.
I think you're right there, Paul. I think you'll be watching the games at every level probably.
Yeah, one thing, Mark, that I didn't see today was the young lad we signed from was it Man United. I think the fella Leo Connor. He wasn't there. No, there's Leo Connell and there's Leo Connor. Connor's is fella who plays in the back line and he's a right back as well. But I didn't see him. Was he there Wednesday? Do you know? Did you take any notice? Or
I didn't even notice, Paul, to be
see,
honest.
that's it. Who people think that they get mixed up between the two. There's Leo Connell
Aye.
and Leo Connor.
And there's that
Mm,
see when you're looking at it, there's that many names that you know that familiar with. They just kind of. But there was a name that I saw on the team sheet the other day, and I was like, "Who's that?"
yeah,
And
yeah.
when you actually see them, you know who they are, but you couldn't have told them their. You know what I mean? You didn't know who their name was, but you'd seen them in like pictures and videos and things like that before.
Mm-hmm. Uh, Going by my take today, I still think we need another keeper. Anyway, Mark. I think Barkas could prove me. I'd start with Barkas anyway, Mark. I think he deserves it. What I saw him today coming off his line, passing the ball, very confident on his feet. Wasn't really troubled though, Mark. But in the game on Wednesday, was that save on that goal on Wednesday, Mark, savable? Do you think?
No,
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 that's grand.
no.
No, that's why I'm asking you. I didn't see the game, Mark. You see, because I didn't. So I would be confident with with Barkas, but I don't. I won't be confident if it's Barkas and Bain, Mark. Do you get me? You know.
Well, I mean, the thing about that as well with Bain, it would still be just the number two, Paul.
Mhm.
Only then, but you're just. I mean, goalkeepers don't get injured a lot, but they do.
No.
But they do get injured. You know what I mean? And
I think a lot of it, Mark, is
don't get
with Barkas last season, Mark, was definitely confidence and letting him come out saying he's my number one before Rangers game and then dropping him. That's not going to help a keeper and playing those kind of mind games with him. Like that kind of management, Mark, it's really gone out of football. Coming out criticising the player and stuff like that, you know?
totally outdate it, Paul.
Yes.
It should never really be part of football. But a manager shouldn't be coming out and publicly blaming players.
No,
Tear,
come into the thing, yeah.
tear shreds off him in the dressing room or at the Monday morning kind of rundown of what the Saturday's game was. But don't go out in the press and kind of make throw players under the bus to cover your own failures.
Hmm.
I mean, Barker, I said it to you, I've said it before, I've said it tonight. For me, Paul, it looked as if he was playing with the weight of the world on his shoulders.
Yes.
Right, you're saying today, he looked
And I
totally
saw confident Barkas
up.
there, Mark, talking, passing the ball. Like he taunt two players from Charlton today, Mark, with the ball in his feet. He taunt two players. You know, and saying that then, though, I don't like when the keeper does that, Mark, either. You know, but
It seems to be a kind of part of the modern game as
yeah,
into the
but if that's the way Ange wants to play, Mark, that's fair enough. But I can't see Bain
no.
playing that role.
But that's
I
what I'm
still,
saying. That's what I'm saying, right? But you're happy enough with Barkis. I'm happy
mm,
enough with him as well. I've said it before. I think as I keep it
uh,
in there. But Bain, uh, he's no good. He's really not really good enough to be number two now. But even down to the fact, Barkis, we're saying players can't play every game. Goalkeepers can play every game of the
yes,
season. Barkis, as long as he avoids injury, does it matter who our number two is?
no, exactly.
It doesn't matter.
We have the lad Ross do in there as well, Mark. You know what I mean? So he's there, like, and
But there is always that chance that the keeper will
see,
play.
that's it, Mark. See,
Keeper,
that's it. And
keeper.
I'm not confident with Bain coming back in again. And I don't think Bain gives confidence to the back line, Mark.
No,
Do you know what I mean? Because they're on they look like an edginess when he was in goal again today, Mark. And I know it's just me because I saw it last season, but it did look like that, like, because he was kicking the ball out again, Mark, when he kicking the ball out long, when
and
the
remember
two defenders were right looking to receive it, like, do
remember
you know?
we replaced Gordon with Bain because his distribution was meant to be better.
Yeah, and then he was dropped again.
But
Do you know?
I mean that was him. We were saying Bain because he was meant to be better with the ball at his feet than Gordon.
Exactly. And clearly he's
So
not.
Bain, it's just so.
He did get worse, Mark. Like Chu said, like he really did get.
I mean,
He got worse as the
maybe he's
years
one
went
of the
on.
kind of keepers that needs to play every week to be kept on his toes. I don't know, but it's definitely been doing a rapid decline for we signed him. Because I was quite happy when we signed Scott Bain.
Mhm. Mhm.
I thought he would do as a decent. I've never been that confident in him as a number one, but I thought he was a good enough to be a number two kind of thing. But
Mhm.
oh, he really is just.
He seems to drop the ball a lot, Mark, when he gets it. Like, moving on, if he don't sign a right back before the Beach game, I'd be happy enough, Mark, with Ralston and the young lad Ozaza that we signed there from Sheffield. I would actually start with the new lad for Sheffield Wednesday, Mark, because I could see how comfortable he was in reading the game and stuff like that. Like, he looked like that he's able to read the game, you know.
So, just when we're talking about that starting at right back, what formation did they play today, Paul?
Uh,
4-2-3-1.
yes, yes,
Going to say, if we go with like a 3-4-3,
yeah.
do you know what I mean? That's what I was thinking. Would they go with the kind of three
I
defenders?
think the Callum Mark anyway and Thornhill are definitely going to be the midfielders anyway. They played together for the first time on the Ange now, Mark, and two of them were just rubbing off each other brilliantly, like, you know. And
McGregor and Turnbull.
yeah,
What about
yeah.
Zorro?
And Zorro was there doing his usual stuff, Mark, just picking up the ball, just put, you know. So I think that's the three midfielders. I has
See, really, Paul, we're talking about kind of what players we're needing and who, but actually, central midfield area is quite strong.
yeah. I know it's only
Even when you take Christie out of the equation,
yeah.
we still
I'm happy with
McGregor,
that kind of area, Mark. Yeah, I'm happy with that area.
Liam Shaw. Do you know what I mean? That's one area that I think we're looking quite strong in.
I think there's a lot of competition there, Mark. Like for the likes of Like Henderson came on there again, Mark. And you can't fault Henderson for his effort closing down the ball, Mark. Liam Shaw was closed down. Like Liam Shaw could be the answer to Scott Brown and not Zorro. Do you know what I mean?
Uh,
Because what I saw of Liam Shaw today, Mark, I saw the exact in Zorro. Do you know what I mean?
And well, I mean, I loved Scott Brown and a player in his prime, you know. But
Yeah,
you're saying about Liam Shaw, I think he's getting more to his game than Scott Brown. Maybe like
yeah.
he's more like your kind of box to box midfielder.
hmm
Do you know what I mean? It's like when Scott, I mean,
I think it's a very strong group of players, Mark, that we have in that area, that midfield kind of centre area. We've a strong group of players there.
well,
You know.
even if Ange is looking to put that Aaron Moy in there as well, that's just going to make us even stronger in there. I don't think it's anything. I don't think the central midfield's much concern, really. I don't.
No, no, I don't. That's one area now, Mark. I really think we will need another centre back anyway.
I
Maybe just before that game, Mark, because
think so.
they're still very young, Mark. I'm not. There's always a mistake in beat on, Mark, and especially in the European Championships, there's a mistake in beat on. You know,
I
there is a mistake.
shouldn't be shouldn't be relying on Beaton as
No,
first choice centre back. That she's really see if that's his first when we get playing Michelin. See if that's our centre back pair. That's a bit to me. That's
it is, Mark, and it's especially Mark too when Oyer wasn't playing in Wednesday's game and he wasn't in around the squad. So I think Oyer's gone. I really think Oyer's practically close to leaving. You know, and if we start with Beeson and Welch, you know, I think it's
doesn't fill you with much confidence, doesn't it? No, we should.
no.
I mean,
You know, and even Mark, if the young lad Leo Hedge came in there, Mark, I wouldn't feel comfortable either, Mark, because it's still too young for a big game that basically Celtic need to get through to the next round to get into the Europa League. Do you get me?
you can't again be a young guy like Helch or whatever, Paul. Because again,
No.
one mistake it costs us a tie, and the boy's going to get crucified for it.
And I think the left hand side as well, Mark, is very weak compared to what Mickey Johnston there and Montgomery was playing there in the first half, but Montgomery's more of a left ring back, Mark. He's not more or less an attacker. Do you get me?
Uh,
Do you know? So I think we're lacking really since Ellen as a, do you know what player now I think we're
Forest in the play
yeah
Forest in the left and
and Dembele. Right, I'd have no problems with Dembele. If Forrest isn't available, Mark, I'd have no issues with playing Dembele there. That's the honest truth. But I think one player who, of all the players last season, who would have done well out of Ange, I think, was El Nusi. I think he would have suited Ange down to the ground, Mark.
uh, Elanucci never hit the heights that I thought he would.
No,
But I mean, he was still one of our better players.
yeah,
But I
you know,
said I would have loved to get a deal to sign him again for this year, but obviously that's not going to happen now. But
yeah,
I said it for 2 years. Saying a good Celtic team the way we expect, and no Celtic can play and should be playing. Paul Elanucci would have shined out for us.
exactly. Uh, Up front, I'd be happy with either Edward or Ting, but going by the situation, Mark, of how we feel about Edward,
But yeah,
I put a Yeti up there, and that's the honest truth.
well,
You know, a different player, Mark.
and you're saying
Different.
it as well. Another,
I mean, like
it's like
we
night
we
and day, Paul.
we were talking about this, Mark, on like we were saying, I can't see Yeti closing down the keeper or pushing up thing, but man did everything that we said that he wasn't there to do today, Mark. Closing down, Mark, passing the ball, holding up the ball, bringing in midfielders in and around him, Mark. Do you know what I mean? He looked at. It's a new signing, Mark. That's
See,
as you said there. Like,
aye,
yeah,
if he's playing, if he's going to apply himself the way he has done the pre-season games, it's like a new signing. It definitely is, and it could be,
you know,
it could
and
be kind of, what is it, a wee surprise kind of idea, Paul. That I
exactly.
wrote off as being overweight, the stories about him, things have not been stinking attitude. Maybe the reason for his stinking attitude was because of the management.
Management, Mark, and being taken off, Mark, when he's not being given a proper. Like he was another player, Mark, that was in and around the team and then just vanished, even off the bench. Just vanished off the bench.
And that's as a player, we've spoke about his transfer before, how he was coming in loan. and then 2 days later, we were buying him.
Exactly, Mark. So like,
And plus, Neil Lennon spoke to him personally about it.
mm-hmm.
And then
Mark, I'm actually seeing now, Mark, that there was serious issues within our backroom staff
there was,
and training things
but
last season.
we'll never find out the truth. We will not, because
No,
guys like Lennon and that have signed non-disclosure agreements and things
yeah,
like that.
but even that, Mark, like how outdated our backroom staff were under Lennon. Do you know what I mean?
Just the standards across the board
Yeah,
just dropped, Paul. And I think
exactly.
that was, honestly, we can go on about this player down in tools and this and that, right? And we can say that all day long. And Ryan Christie, this and
And
that.
Mark, if you have a relaxed attitude around your
Lennon,
team, Mark, yeah.
Lennon, I said it when I'm not going on because we could sit here all night, rake over the coals about it, Paul.
Hmm.
Appointing Lennon was the biggest mistake Peter Lil ever made.
Exactly.
That was the biggest mistake. You can go on about John McGinn signing, or go back to the Stephen Fletcher signing, appointing Tony Mowbray, whatever. The biggest mistake Peter Lil made was appointing Lennon in the showers at Hampden.
And I think that's what a lot of fans, Mark, will remember now for.
Or he was still being a job. Peter, see if Peter Lil would went.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Went and done what he should have done, and looked in his
Do you
book on
think,
the
Mark,
application
maybe
forms.
Peace Law would have stayed on, Mark, if Celtic done the 10 in a row and if he had a different manager in place? Or was it always kind of coming down the line?
See, that's a hard one, Paul, because I've said before, I think maybe would have, I thought maybe would retire or move to some other role.
Hmm.
Because that's us, we've done the 10 in a row kind of thing. Because I said it all along, it was a kind of noose round our neck. Everybody's building up to the 10 in a row. And then see when that didn't happen, that's why
Hmm.
I cleared the boards. And Dermot Desmond gave his duty, he done it. He got rid of Lowe, he got rid of Lennon, although he took his time, whatever. But he done what it took him longer to do than the fans wanted, but he done what the fans wanted.
Hmm.
Because that
Exactly.
when 10 in a row went out the window, Peter Lowell's stock must have kind of, even with Dermot Desmond, kind of dropped.
Exactly.
This was a major, you dropped the ball here, Peter.
Hmm. Uh,
You had to deliver 10 in a row.
but even like, was it 10 days, Mark? I think not even 10 days, Mark, because he was, yeah, about 9 days, Mark. This first team squad has been with Ange, and already I'm seeing a totally different team to what I saw last season. Do you know, is it due because our younger players are fitter, Mark, or is it down to just he's put in a proper system into this first team squad and the players are on? But even Cal McGregor today, Mark, like shouting out instructions to the team squad where he wants these young players to be when like we said like
Making Callum McGregor,
yeah.
Scott Brown leaving, letting
Mhm.
Callum McGregor. I mean, I don't think Callum
Because
McGregor.
Mark, if you have such a player and captain who's been at the club for 15 years, it's mostly going to be his voice that the players are going to be listening to, are really into it. You know, like I know you'll have senior players within the squad, Mark, but if you're Scott Brown and you've won all these trophies with Celtic, Mark, I think it's his voice that a lot of the players would have been listening to as well.
Would have
You know.
been, it would have been Scott Brown, a big, we know he's a big personality, he's got a big ego, so he would be the main man in the dressing room. So now that
Mhm.
Scott Brown's away, maybe Callum McGregor will develop a wee bit of that swag.
Yeah, and you would like when we were saying like maybe Callum McGregor might be off. Now, what I saw of him today, Mark, I wouldn't actually like him to leave. You know.
Oh, I don't think he will now. Even after his performances in the Euros and that, I thought
Yeah,
if they
exactly.
maybe get
Different
tested
player.
a bit, Celtic maybe get a transfer fee of kind of Celtic canny turned down, so I have to tell McGregor about it, and that would maybe turn his head. But there's not even been any hint yet.
Hmm. That's it for tonight, folks. Of course, we have to wish Italy the best of luck for tomorrow and put our noisy.
Spaghetti bolognese for dinner,
Exactly.
pizza for breakfast.
So come on, Natalia. For myself, Marcos, the rumor, Paulo, the Coco. The Euro is all about bragging rights, showing people pride in your country squad with the help of today's sponsors, Manscaped. You definitely be showing pride in your squad. With Manscaped, you can trim your personal pitch without the fear of whacking your bollocks. Unlock the confidence and join the movement with our exclusive offer. 20% off free world shipping and insert Celtic Rumours TV at manscaped.com. Manscaped is changing the way men approach the grooming with their Performance Package 3.0. This men's bundle includes a Lawnmower 3.0 Weed Whacker, Performance Boxers Brief, Travel Kit formulations to help you upgrade your grooming game. The Lawnmower 3.0 is the John Terry of defence. Because of the third generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to advanced safe technology. There's a waterproof technology and a LED light so you can groom in the shower or you can groom in the bar at the back and don't fear of having a terrible clean-up afterwards. If you've been held back by nose hairs before, you have the perfect solution for you. The Weed Whacker, the Airs and Nose Trimmer. The trimmer has the same Manscaped safe care technology which helps reduce nicks, knacks, tugs in your nose and holes. 79% of partners pros admitted they lose that long nose hair is a major turn-off. Imagine if your significant other half grown some nasty nose hairs. Pretty sure you wouldn't be taking cleaner. Don't forget this bundle comes with the crop preserver, ball deodorant, anti-chafing ball deodorant, moisturizer, crop provider, ball toner, a toner for your testicles that's infused with aloe vera that gives you an extra little tickle. You're going to want to get the ball sacks beauty constant using the ball. Check out the website for some tools including their clone, their foot duster, their foot deodorant, which is what you need for your stinky ball bag. Be silky smooth like the Terrans, don't have a bush like the English fans at the Euros. Come on Italia, 20% off shipping. 20% off any product with free shipping with our code Manscaped, proud sponsors of Celtic Rumours TV, where the big boys hang out. Mark, off to you to close the show.
Right, thanks, Paul. Just thanks everybody for joining. We hope you enjoyed it. Enjoy your weekends and come on, Italy. Hail, hail. Good night. God bless.
Nice. That was a good night.